Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, where
everybody's out of pocket today. Everybody's out of pocket.
Whatever you do, don't bring that up on air. It will never get a show on air.
But Earl's out of pocket. G's out of pocket. Jay's out of pocket.
Now, typically, when one person
Anthony's
says
out of pocket,
4 people are out of pocket, usually there's only one person out of pocket.
Mike and I are in pocket.
And I know y'all want me to say that, but come on, man.
All right, let's get it going.
Gosh.
Busy day. We still don't know what's going to happen Sunday. We're going to talk about some of the injuries that we know the Browns have and what they do moving forward from there. We've got the beat writer from the 49ers, Brian Peacock, joining us at about 11:35. He's going to tell us what he knows about this team that most folks right now have as the top team in the NFL. I said most, not all. What part of their offense scares you most? Because they are a dual threat. They can play a smashmouth run game, or they can really mix it up with the passing game. We're going to dive into that. No fence riders today. Always fun. And Aditi will join us in the last hour of the program. In the meantime, our first hello of the day to Mikey McNuggets. How are you, Mike?
I am doing well. Thank you, guys. We have a busy show, so we're going to hop right in. We're going to talk David Njoku one sec. Before we do that, if you want live text message updates from the Browns-49ers game, from the press box, from Jason Lloyd, 3 froms in one sentence, you have to become a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And on our members-only community tab, you can find the special code to text into our Haymarket number to get signed up for that exclusive Jason Lloyd text list coming up. So make sure you guys check that out.
There you go. Before we dive into our topics today, we all saw something yesterday on Instagram. You probably saw it too if you're on that platform and you follow most of the Browns players. David Njoku, who we knew had suffered facial burns, burns on his arms from a reported fire pit accident, posted his first picture of what is actually going on there. And
that is post-face scrape, by the way.
That is, right.
That is. This is the immediate aftermath.
Yeah, wow is all we can say.
Yeah, very scary.
Wow. And now you can understand. And by the way, he played probably his best game of the year, to be sure,
Man,
with these burns in the loss to the Ravens. But, oh, my goodness.
Can you imagine, the sweat? Coming down,
getting into those wounds,
and putting a helmet on, and just being hey man, I can listen, man. There's, sometimes when you talk about athletes, man, and I know they get paid a lot of money, but man, that just goes to show you, people do a lot of things for the game. If anybody was able to sit out and you would have gave him a pass, was David Njoku. I mean, this is his face he tried to burn off. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy that, he even went and played, man.
When he showed up with that mask, that was terrifying in and of itself, just not knowing what was underneath it.
Yeah,
but you're right, G. What a sacrifice.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
He could have posted up and sat out that game. It just goes to show you, there is a passion for players that go out there and play the game. And there's a lot of players, and you even talk to Tyvis, and Tyvis is like, man, I'd give anything to get one more playoff. You know what I'm saying? It just goes to show you the links that people go through to play a game that they love. And yes, they get a lot of money, but you know what I'm saying, there's a lot of sacrifices that people go through to do it. So I commend him.
Yeah, and we certainly hope that he continues to heal. The follow-up picture is really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because after the procedure, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of scarring, I would think. Burns almost always scar, but, I mean, look at him now.
I mean, David Njoku, I'm just saying, he's a nice-looking fellow. You know what I'm saying? I was like, if I was that nice-looking with all the six-packs and abs, I'd be like, if I burn myself, I'm like, oh, no, doctor, don't tell me I'm going to go back to where I'm looking at. Don't have me looking crazy.
You know what I love, though? When he showed up to the stadium on Sunday, He said, I might as well show off those abs because I'm hiding my face.
Listen.
So he had that fur coat open.
Right, like he had the fur coat with the abs going. I'm like, would I trade what's under the mask for myself for the abs? I think I almost might.
I would.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
If you want to take his abs and give it to me and I'll get some burns, as long as I ain't really too crazy.
He looked like a killer in a horror movie.
He did,
You know,
with
with the
that mask.
and the chest and the.
And you can't run away from him.
No,
No, because he's going to run you down.
That's scary.
Can you imagine him in a full sprint running you down in the woods? With a hacksaw or something?
No, if he's running beside your car going 35 and he's just running beside you.
That's a terrifying image.
Like running beside you with the map, and he goes to open it. Oh, I freak out.
I mean, in all seriousness, we kid about that.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, David, we are all pulling for you, man. And what you had to go through to play a football game last Sunday, looking the way you looked and probably feeling the way you did just 2 days after the accident happened. Kudos to you, brother. Keep being the warrior that you are, and we hope you have a great recovery. Mike.
And one more thing on Njoku before we move on here.
Okay.
Him playing that Sunday was straight up pain tolerance.
You aren't kidding.
That was, can you put a helmet on, or are you in too much excruciating pain to play? It wasn't like he couldn't move his arms or his legs, or he had a strain in his hamstring. This was straight pain tolerance.
And I imagine once he put it on, he never took it off.
I'm going to guess that is accurate.
Probably
He
not,
wore a face mask underneath the helmet, so there was a barrier between helmet and face.
Right.
I think he didn't practice Wednesday. I'm pretty sure, I have this on pretty good authority, that he just doesn't want to put a helmet on until game day. That he's willing to endure the pain on Sunday, and just for right now. But despite him looking like that 2 weeks ago, this dude's an absolute freaking warrior. As tough as it comes to play on Sunday, to then go through the facial scraping, which does not sound fun in any capacity. He obviously looks much better afterwards, but this dude's a freaking warrior, and if they have a game on Sunday, I fully expect David Njoku to be out there for the Cleveland Browns.
Guys, we all at times, myself certainly included, talk about players as if they're fungible assets, right? Not human beings.
Right.
And this is one of a number of examples that we all eventually ignore of, these guys have sometimes I feel like people are annoyed that guys have a life outside of football. Right. And in this case, like, everybody, whenever a player doesn't play well, we often bring up their money. And we don't do that in any other walk of life besides sports, right? No. We don't do that with the entertainment industry. We don't do it with politicians, really. We don't do it with all these CEOs making millions and millions of dollars across the country.
Auto workers now are doing it with their CEO.
They should.
Absolutely.
And all those auto workers should get paid.
And I'm just pointing that. Yeah. I'm pointing out that
that's right.
It's not just
good
athletes.
For those. I'm with all the auto workers. Good for them. I stand with their union 100%. And yet we always do that with athletes. And it's unfair. Now, they're in the public eye, so it's part of the conversation. I get it. But, like, it kind of, spinning this to Watson a little bit, listen, there's a million things to be critical of Deshaun Watson for.
Sure.
A million. But I've seen a number of people in the media now say, like, he's soft for not playing.
Yeah, that's BS.
And that's completely outrageous.
Not fair. At all.
You don't know what someone's going through.
And you don't know what the pain is.
Yeah, to say, well, he got paid, so he doesn't want to play. I'm not saying there's no guys in the NFL or baseball or the NBA that don't get paid and then coast. I'm sure there are. Right. But I believe that the majority of players didn't get to where they are to coast and not want to play.
And by being soft.
Right, by being soft.
And by the way, we know the narrative on him. He played through major injuries in college.
Yeah.
And the narrative of when he came out of Clemson was, this guy's a warrior.
Right. Well, the argument that people are making now is, well, that was before he got paid, so of course he did it then. No. I just think that's weak.
Yeah, like
we all killed Baker for playing with an injury.
Yeah.
Now we're going to kill Deshaun for making the right choice. I mean, like, what do you want?
It just goes to show, Bull, that sometimes the minority is vocal and they drowned out everybody. Like, we tend to, when we look at social media and we see 5 tweets that call Deshaun Watson soft, all of a sudden, everybody's killing him. No, not everybody, just a couple of morons with a Twitter handle. That's it. That's all.
I've seen at least 3 media members locally. I'm not going to say who they are.
Well, one Was one of them Hanford Dixon?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in Hanford's case, of everybody,
I was
most disappointed with him.
right.
Yeah. So you're saying that, I think he made an analogy. You'd have to cut off my leg or something. I don't know what he said, but nothing's going to keep me off the field. That's all well and good. You can say that all you want, but I'm sure Hanford Dixon missed plays because of injury. I mean, I don't have his career logs in front of me, but in all likelihood, I'm guessing he missed a game or two. Well, why didn't he play? And so I'm sure he didn't want anyone questioning his toughness when an injury forced him to sit out. And I'm sure Deshaun doesn't want that or need that anyway. And Skip Bayless always used to say, I wish there was a machine that we could hook up to a player and we could feel their level of pain.
They die. You die.
In most cases, it would bring them to tears.
It would bring you to your. Listen, there are people that miss regular work with hangnails.
Yeah.
There are people who miss and you know what?
And they might be some of the same people that are tweeting Deshaun is soft.
And if you got the PTO, by all means, take it. At the end of the day, I just look at it. And the dark side of this is we've got this hyper masculine thing where back in the day we used to do 2-a-days and they give you people salt tablets and they withhold water during 90-degree temperatures because you were dogging it. And then people started dying and people started having adverse health effects. And then we were like, hold on. Maybe that's not really what we should be doing. Now, you see some of the things that
you've changed dramatically now.
It's changed dramatically. And I'll say to a lot of people out there, y'all don't understand, like, when after you're old and you're in your 40s and 50s, nobody gives a crap about how much you played and whether you play injured or not. Do you think any college coaches say, oh, wow, Garrett Bush, man, he doesn't move his arms that well, or he can't feel his left arm, and or his neck or his back. They don't care about that. They're like, at this point, they don't even know you played. That's how quickly the cycle moves. When you're done, no one cares about you. So at the end of the day, he got to do what's best for him to do right now because guess what? That's his only source of income.
What's funny for me is I remember the stories of guys that, like Jack Youngblood, famously played in a Super Bowl with a broken leg, a real broken leg, and he played. T.O., with a devastating ankle injury, came back to play in the Super Bowl when the timeline for him was double what it was that he came back.
Ronnie Lott.
I remember Ronnie Lott, cut off my finger, I'm going back in the game. So what I remember are those stories. I also remember the Chargers quarterback that played with a torn ACL.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
Yep.
I remember, and boy, he took a lot of grief.
He sure did.
For originally saying that he might not play. He ended up playing. Doctor said, oh, yeah, by the way, he had a torn ACL. I remember the gutted out stories. We tend to forget about the stories where, he had an injury, he could have played, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's up to the player. And it's
Hanford
up to Deshaun
Dixon
Watson.
missed a couple games at the end of his career.
No, I wonder why.
Yeah, he missed 3 games in like his third to last season. His second to last season, he missed 1 game, but it was the last game.
And I love Hanford. I'm not
he didn't miss much. He played every game.
And listen, they all should be as tough as
still.
Hanford Dixon. But the one thing that I have a problem with, you just don't know what that player is going through. Maybe Hanford had a handful of teammates that looked at his injury and said, come on, dog, come on. The only person that knows, and there's only one, is the injured player. And he's the one that has to make the call. And I don't love it when media members try to do that because nobody knows.
This is just high school, but I remember playing both ways in high school in my junior year, and I wanted to get a scholarship, and I was playing really well, and something kept messing with my calf. It would get hit, and I'm like, this is excruciating pain. And I'd roll around for about 3 or 4 minutes. They take me off the field, it'll stop hurting, and I'll go back on. So I'm doing this, and I'm doing this is week 5, week 6. I'm like, this is killing me. And they're like, it's G. Bush. I'm the same person I am now. G. Bush don't want to practice. He just want to play the game.
Right.
And I remember telling them, like, no, man, like, this hurts that bad. And I could remember, like, people not taking it seriously. And then finally, they were like, just so you'll shut up, I'm going to take you to the doctor. They finally took me to the doctor, and everybody was like, looked at the scans and came back and was like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm like, well, what's wrong with it? Well, I had a bone growing through my leg. So
you've told us
it
about
was
that.
the bone was going over in between my tibia and fibia, and was going over a nerve, and so there was pretty much a jagged piece of bone growing through my muscles,
Cutting on a nerve.
cutting on a nerve.
Well, no wonder it hurt.
And I was like, and then so they looked at me, and I remember crying not because it hurt. I remember crying because people didn't believe me, and they treated me like that. Like I just didn't want to play. And I'm like, here I am. I'm just trying to get a scholarship. This is the most important year of my life.
Right.
And you're telling me I don't want to play, and coaches might think I'm just a loser that don't want to practice.
Yeah, that's right. No one knows.
Bad.
You're the only one that felt that pain. Even the doctor, after they looked at the scan, didn't know how bad it hurt.
Yeah.
Just
By the way, did you guys ever see the movie Total Recall, the original one with Arnold
I did,
Schwarzenegger?
yes.
And there were some mutants. You're one of the mutants.
He's growing bones.
By the way, that mutant with that ostrich arm freaked me out.
Yeah,
Well, how about Quato? Remember Quato in the belly?
gave birth to the-
Open your mind to me.
Mike has a read
I
and
got a
Mary
real
Kay
quick
update.
read and an update from Mary Kay here. If you guys missed Behind the Glass last night, make sure you check it out. Me, Earl, Anthony talked about the Browns quarterback situation, the Browns culture, a little behind-the-scenes stories, some internet death threats, and all the above.
Jeez.
A lot of fun episode. Make sure you guys check it out. Mary Kay Cabot just tweeted out within the last minute, and I quote, Anthony, you can throw it up when you're ready. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is not scheduled to speak with the media again today. Didn't do so yesterday either for his regular weekly appearance. He sat out Wednesday's practice. We'll see about today. We'll find out practice later this afternoon. Deshaun, however, not speaking to the media, which leads us right to our main topic of the show, Jay. There has been some mixed messaging from the Browns Brain Trust over the Deshaun Watson shoulder injury from when it started 2 weeks ago to where we are now. In your opinion, 2 weeks out from the initial report of Deshaun being hurt, we didn't know about it until Wednesday after the Tennessee game. Do you think this could be the sign of a bigger picture issue with the Browns Brain Trust? Maybe a little fracture showing through the signs?
Yes. Not, but it's bad either way. Whether this is a fracture amongst the group or not, it's still bad. They have all the messaging that has come out over the last weekend and almost 2 weeks of this has often conflicted other messaging. Nobody seems to be on the same page, whether it's Watson, Stefanski. They keep saying they're on the same page, like every time we hear from Stefanski and Berry, but clearly there's a disconnect somewhere. And whether this means that Berry and Stefanski, who have seemed to be very tight, maybe things are fraying between them. Maybe Jimmy Haslam's causing a fray between them. Maybe Deshaun Watson's ticked at Stefanski right now. We don't know. But clearly, there is a problem. Can it be overcome and the Browns get back to winning? Sure. But when you come from an organization that is used to losing, it's harder to get over these things. They tend to sabotage a team more than organizations. You know, when you had the Antonio Brown situation in Pittsburgh, well, they're used to a culture of winning. So they got rid of him, they moved on, and they were able, it wasn't a big deal. Now, nothing here that's happened is equivalent to that necessarily, but I think the big question right now that we don't have an answer to is two things. Is there any tension between Watson and Stefanski? Mm-hmm. And is there any tension between Watson and his teammates? Because if either of those things are happening, then that's a problem, guys.
Well, that ultimately led to Baker's demise. And I'm not saying there was tension between Baker and Stefanski, but there was clearly tension between Baker and some of his teammates.
I just don't like it. I don't understand what. Don't they have a support staff? Don't they? You know, I was laughing and I was thinking to myself, they need to hire Olivia Pope from the movie or from the show Scandal. You need to bring her in here, Kerry Washington,
communications expert,
figure this out. Because look, the one thing that you don't want, right? And you look at Deshaun Watson, and there's one thing Deshaun Watson has never been. He has never been or has had an opportunity to be comfortable in Cleveland. He doesn't have anybody he really speaks to in the media locally. He really hasn't really even spoken about who he is or what he's able to do or any of the work he's done in the community because we've only spoken about the scandal. So he's already closed in a little bit. And so when you close in a little bit, you want at least your teammates in your organization to kind of, surround you and close ranks a little bit. So, you mentioned Hanford Dixon and what he said. I believe Hanford Dixon is just it's just a consequence of the mixed messaging.
I agree with that.
100%.
I 100% agree with
When
that.
you take in when your coach says, well, he's cleared to play, well, okay, we'll take that on his face value. Okay, that's one. But then the general manager comes out in the bye week and he's supposed to be shutting it down, and then he comes out and says that he's going to play, and you guarantee it almost, like double down.
Well, he just said it matter-of-factly.
Like it's just nothing.
He'll play against San Francisco.
So when you say it out of turn and out of matter of fact, you diminish what is exactly happening with that player. So people think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Now we got people on the internet being like, okay, yeah, bruise, contusion. Now it's the narrative is, oh, well, regular people have this. Why isn't he playing?
Yeah, that's insane.
And so now if you're Deshaun Watson, you back on the defensive. You're like, I'm trying to win people over, and I had all these allegations, and I wasn't allowed to speak. Now I'm here, I'm trying to get that past me, and now, which I think is weird a little bit too, he's not speaking anymore. Like, it's okay to be injured and go talk to the media. At least you'll say, hey, look, guys, I'm trying my hardest to get out there. I'm just doing day by. But they're almost being like, no, don't do that, because
I know
there's two reasons for him not to speak. One, he's saying, I'm not doing it because the reporters have twisted my words.
Yep.
Or the other is the organization is telling him, don't speak.
Right.
And either way, it's bad because his message now is in a can, and we don't know what it is.
We don't know. He's just walking around.
And I thought of something yesterday that I haven't discussed on the show yet, but when I was having this conversation with a big fan yesterday, this popped into my head, and I made the point. And I'll make it with you guys and see what you think. I'm not suggesting that Stefanski is vindictive, but he didn't lob the first blow here. We haven't tied into all of this Deshaun's comments after the Steelers game that there was a communication problem. And I'm wondering if, to show Deshaun how damaging it can be to let what's inside the locker room out into the public, which is what Deshaun did, and it caused, now Stefanski's answering questions about the communication with his quarterback. He doesn't want to spend time doing that. I'm wondering if Stefanski, because we've said over and over again, every word that has ever fallen out of his mouth has been pre-thought and it's measured. And there's always intent. He doesn't make mistakes. We've followed him for, now into his fourth season. He just doesn't do that. So I think the biggest surprise for all of us was, wow, he just said that. And then we start thinking, okay, why? Well, that did come after Deshaun's comment about there's communication issues between quarterback and coach. Want to see how damaging that can be? And I still can't think that he would be that small and petty. He's the head coach.
Because
I can't think it was intentional, but maybe subconsciously.
If I were the owner of the team and I knew Stefanski did what you're suggesting,
no, I'm not suggesting.
I'm not saying you're saying he
what
did
I'm
it.
saying is that possible that subconsciously he said, this guy didn't have my back.
I'd fire him if he did. If I were.
Well, you'd never know.
If
never
I
be able
knew,
to
I'm
prove
saying
that. But to
that'd
me,
be crazy.
It's just what I can't understand is why coach and general manager have made comments about this quarterback that has led the fan base and media to believe he could have played and he's going to play.
And what's to G's point also of like he's been trying to build up this relationship in theory. Since the moment Watson got here, it's been bad, right? He got suspended. All the accusations.
The news around
all the news has been bad.
Yeah.
And then when he got on the field, it was all bad.
Right.
Until the Titans game.
Yes.
Right.
So, and then we saw them high-fiving and chest bumping and everything else.
We were all feeling great.
Yes.
It was the best you felt collectively about Watson was after that game.
No question.
And now it's just all gone to crap since then. Without another game being played.
I mean, the optics are, it's not good.
Right.
But I've had players tell me before about what were perceived scandals outside a locker room. We're not even close to that inside the locker room. So
fair.
Here's my hope. You had said something earlier about close the ranks and come together. Here's my hope. My hope is the 53 and the coaches come together and bubble wrap themselves from us.
Well, we need a clear message today, Jay.
We do, but Bull, here's
Yeah.
how you send a clear message.
Yeah.
Go beat the hell out of San Francisco.
True, but
Message sent.
fine. But if I were the Browns today, I'm like, my head's spinning because Watson.
Why? How did this happen?
Because Watson, Stefanski, Berry, and DTR. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any other players.
Throw in DPJ, too, who said yesterday, I don't know who's throwing the ball to us.
Oh, he said that?
I believe he said that.
DP Day said, quote, I'm not sure who will be catching passes from us
Okay,
today.
so that's 5 people, coach, GM, 3 players, who have said something that makes you to believe not everybody's on the same page. And that can't happen.
And
That
at some
is
point, perception
inexcusable.
becomes reality,
That's right.
doesn't it?
And add in that Watson's not talking. What do they got to hide? When somebody doesn't talk, you think there's always something to hide. So we need one message. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry need to be in the room with the entire team and say, what the hell are we doing here? Here's what's going on. Here's what we're saying in the media. That's it.
That may have already happened,
Yeah.
and they're not going to tell us.
Guys, this is as I go back and look at it, I remember he's always had trouble with messaging on players' injuries.
Baker?
The Baker situation. Remember when people thought Odell Beckham was going to play in the first game
Yes,
against
I do.
Kansas City?
I do.
And
Yes.
he just came out and was like, and
That's true.
And so if you look at it,
They're always
it's
shady with the
always a
injuries.
little like for the last 3 or 4 years. Like, take a look at what goes on. You had problems with OBJ. You had problems with Jarvis Landry. When Jarvis Landry is he's at his turkey giveaway, and he comes out and says, "You know what? I just don't know what's going on right now." You take a look, Jadeveon Clowney. He says he's not going in on 3rd down. These are things that I can't look at. If you look at them individually, okay, they're just one-offs. But if you look at it, there's a pattern of behavior where there's messaging where I don't know how that was even allowed to go on.
Is it possible for us to, and we're assuming that there's a communication issue and a messaging issue, who's to blame for that? And I know in reality it's probably a little bit of everybody. Should Deshaun Watson ever tell the media that there's a communication problem with his head coach?
I'd love to hear those exact quotes again because in
You
my
wanna dig them
memory
up?
it was
It
really.
after the
I'll
Pittsburgh
look him up.
game.
Hold on.
It was really. I didn't realize I don't remember him
The
saying.
one that stands out to me was whether or not we're going to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
That was a specific example that he used, but he
Yeah.
also used, I think, game plans, or he gave several examples, which was why I'm like, wow, it's not like this is one communication problem. We got muddy channels on a couple of different things.
Right.
And first of all,
Yeah.
here's the way you fix that. You go to the quarterback, or you go to the head coach, if you're the quarterback, and you say, Coach, I'm not really sure what our philosophy is on going for it on 4th down, and I'm not sure, but I would love to know if we got the ball on the 44-yard line, because that's the yellow zone for sure. Mm-hmm. If we've got the ball on the 44-yard line, is that always a red light or a green light to go for it 4 times? Because I'd like to know that on 1st down, and I'd like to know that on 2nd down, and I'd also really like to know that on 3rd down.
Yeah, but you can't know that for sure every
but
time.
you can have conversations and say, well, here's what our analytics department gave. Here's the book that we go by. 41-yard line and in. We're going for it on 4th and under 3. Whatever it is. They have a formula. I don't know what it is. But he should know what that is. So he, in his mind, can say on 3rd down, I'm not going to throw a check down to a guy that's still a yard short of the sticks. If that means we're not going to go for it on 4th down, I may look for a different receiver. I may decide to run. It's just additional information that
I
helps
just
him
find
make
it hard to
decisions.
believe that this information is not being shared.
I do too, but Mike, I don't think I'm misremembering this.
Yeah, I
quote.
just don't remember him saying anything about the coach. I certainly could be wrong, but I
quote,
thought.
I have it right here.
Okay.
Quote, and this is after the Steelers game,
Right.
Tuesday, we're speaking to the media.
Right.
The communication got to be better. Fundamentals got to be better. You can't blame anyone other than myself, but we need to communicate better all around.
There was way more to it. Might have been a second question. That's where he specifically talked about the 4th down. And I remember that soundbite.
I'll keep looking.
Because I heard the soundbite, and it was a
Yeah.
pretty long rip. It was like a 15-second clip.
Now, he did say it's all my fault.
He did, which
Yeah.
is big. But
Yeah.
but for the public, when I hear that, I don't think it's on the subordinate. I think it's on the boss. bosses have to communicate to the employers what's expected of
them.
For
Kevin Stefanski, I think we missed two big key things. He is a first-time head coach, right? So obviously there's some opportunity to learn. The 1 year he wasn't even in the building, right? So, and that happens to be his best year. Now, here's the thing that I look at it. Maybe you tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like, it looks like, it's almost like you being a stepdad, right? Like you didn't literally have the kid. Like you look at, Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski inherited those guys.
Both of them.
So it's a little bit different.
It's not like he told the general manager to draft this player because I need him.
Right.
I agree with you. There is more of a connection, coach and player, when that's the case.
Because we're tired.
But that doesn't mean they're any less invested.
Right.
Or does it? I don't know.
No, well, it just shows you it's harder to get that communication because if I drafted you, we're bonded at the hip. You know what it is.
If I inherited you,
it's like, okay. And
he didn't inherit Watson. They traded for Watson.
They traded for him. Now, we've never gotten the word. Who was the main guy who said, nah, go get me Watson?
At one point, when asked about it, Stefanski was asked specifically about had you decided that you couldn't win with Baker. Now, whether this was truthful or not, he said, we thought we could win moving forward, but we had an opportunity to better our team, so we did it.
And I don't know who the catalyst.
But to me, when a player gets drafted, you don't know if the coach wanted him either. Same as when a player gets traded for.
No, but in some cases, the coach is in on that decision-making process, particularly if he's an offensive or specifically a quarterback guy.
I would assume.
Like if Kyle Shanahan drafts a quarterback, that's his guy.
Yeah, but I assume Kevin Stefanski, when they traded for Watson, they had his input on that.
I would hope they did.
Why wouldn't they?
Because they're the Browns.
Because
that's.
But I would hope.
There's no way they traded for Watson without discussing it with Stefanski.
But we do have the information of knowing that Jimmy Haslam handpicked Johnny Manziel.
That's what we think. I don't know. We know that.
And then they text down the field like, "Oh, you gonna play him too? Get him in the game."
Yeah, but that's not the same as the Deshaun Watson situation.
But I think my general point was sometimes when you're put together, you have a very squeezed, condensed timeline to get it together.
They've had plenty of time. There's no excuse.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
You could get the offense in, you could get the defense in, but there's a lot that you could have communication, but do you have trust? Trust is different.
I don't
know. Trust is known
after they beat Tennessee, we were all excited that they jumped into each other's arms basically, and we're like, look, they love each other, and now we're questioning their chemistry. I don't know.
But if Deshaun Watson is saying the same thing in his head, he's like, I was just chest bumping with you. Why you do that to me? Why would you tell people that I was cleared to play?
But that's why I don't think you could take it back to the Steeler game.
Yeah, because the Tennessee
I hope not. No, listen,
that.
I hope not. But what hit me yesterday was this wasn't the first communication problem that we knew about that was aired by one of the two in the public. It was Deshaun who first said, yeah, communication isn't good or whatever, isn't right. Here's the thing. There's 0% chance in my mind that Stefanski said, oh, you want to play?
Yeah, it doesn't.
0% chance of that. However, sometimes we, in dealings with people where there have been previous beefs, subconsciously say or do or treat that person with that piece of artillery in your backpack. You know that it's there.
Yeah, sure.
Because I thought he did that with Baker. When Baker came back and said, oh, I'll decide when I'm going to play or not. And he just disregarded the coach. I'm going to be playing.
Right.
I told you that.
Right.
And I think Stefanski was like, well, hold on. What you mean you playing?
Yeah, we make those decisions as an organization.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you play. Go play.
For me, going forward, like all of this stuff, it's been a mess. They can either come together as a team, as a unit, and start back on the winning track. You know, somebody said to me, I was talking with somebody yesterday about, do I still believe in Stefanski? Because I'm probably one of the few people left in town that does. But I said, I still have some faith in him. But he's holding on by a thread with me at this point.
Right.
And if he doesn't turn it around soon, the Browns are going to have to think about a change. But I don't think we're there yet because they're still very much with all the doom and gloom that we've been sharing for the last 2 days, and it's going to continue unless Deshaun Watson plays because they're going to have a hard time beating anybody without Deshaun Watson.
They are. That's a fact.
That's just the way it goes. You have a backup quarterback. In most cases, it's hard to win, and so unless he turns it around soon, he's going to lose his job.
And I have, like you, I have not completely lost faith in Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
Here's what I can't figure out about Kevin Stefanski. How can he be so good against the Bengals, and how can he be so just mediocre, below average against everyone else? I don't know that. So because of what he's done against the Bengals, I can't lose faith in him yet.
Yeah.
But like you, I'm teetering, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's running out of time.
He is really running out of time.
Jay, I'll keep looking for that quote. I cannot find it.
Channel 3 ran it, if that helps.
I'm gonna do as much as I can to find it.
Because I saw it.
If you guys need Browns gear for the upcoming season, head over to fanatics.com/UCSS for all your swaggy, comfy, stylish Browns gear. Fanatics.com/UCSS is the place to get all your Browns gear, not just for yourself, but for your friends, family as the holiday season approaches. Once again, that is fanatics.com/UCSS. And with that, let's bring in our guest. It is Brian Peacock of the Locked On 49ers podcast. Also, the host of the Peacock and Williamson NFL show on the Locked On Network. Brian, we appreciate you making some time with us this morning. How you doing, man?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm fired up for this one. Can't wait for a little Browns 49ers action. Should be a good one, especially with these two defenses this week.
It'd be a good one if Deshaun Watson plays.
Man, he was lying. You can't come in here lying. That was a great open. Should be a good one.
Yeah.
P.J. Walker.
It's not going to be a good one if P.J. Walker is playing, I'll tell you that. But
He's being nice, guys.
Let me ask you this, Brian. Let me ask you this, because we had, it was feisty yesterday. It was yelling and screaming about where Brock Purdy is in the pantheon of quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Well, I'm not even going to tell you what anybody said. I don't want to, where would you say? We know how well he's played. We know the talent and the coaching he has around him. We know it's not a huge sample size. For you right now, if you're ranking the quarterbacks, where do you put Brock Purdy?
Well, whichever one of you guys had him ranked the highest was correct, because this dude is special. He's got some special qualities, and there you go. And you might not see it as easily as some other quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. It's not that kind of talent, but there's something that Brock Purdy has that those guys have, and it's a level of, I love the term, arm arrogance. And it's very different. Again, it's not 60 air yard throws on a dot. He has some of the best anticipation I've ever seen from a 49ers quarterback. And look, I started watching football way back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I saw some Joe Montana, and that is the top of the heap. That is the mountaintop. And there's some similar. Now, I'm not putting that on him. No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong here.
You're putting it on him right now. You're putting it on him right now.
There's some qualities. There are some qualities running this scheme and this offense that he brings to it that we haven't seen in the Kyle Shanahan era of San Francisco 49ers quarterbacks. Yeah. There's some special qualities, some toughness, his vision of the field, and he does elevate the team more than I think a lot of people from the outside looking in would think, and I think you'll see some of that on Sunday.
Now, I agree with that. He does a lot of those things. There's no doubt. We can't totally dismiss the talent around him and the coaching staff. However, one person did go as far to say he's better than Josh Allen. Will you at least admit that person is out of his mind?
There's a handful of quarterbacks that right now today I would absolutely trade Brock Purdy for, and I would trade Brock Purdy for Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen's completely different dude, and he's at the top of the current NFL heap for sure.
Wait, hold on.
But
you have him above Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Oh, okay.
There is a tier of quarterback that it'd be crazy to put Brock Purdy in right now, and that's the tier where Mahomes and Josh Allen are in, and maybe Mahomes is a different tier at the top. Yeah, but the ones behind those guys, you have to start talking about Brock Purdy just with the way he's playing. And if you look at the statistics, he is up there in that tier.
No, he's ahead of Josh Allen if you look at the statistics.
Let's chill a little bit.
Yeah, if you look at the statistics he's got 11 games.
He just gave you the answer. The guy that covers, we don't want to argue about it anymore. The guy that covers the Niners just said you're crazy. Admit it.
No, the guy that covers the Niners said whoever had him ranked highest is right.
But no, I have him ranked highest. in the reasonable spot.
Listen, we
I know
spent
you
20
gotta,
minutes
you
on the show
gotta,
yesterday.
you gotta stand
Why
down.
is it always
The
me
group
I got to
chat this
stand down?
morning.
Because I have a
You're wrong.
question for the guest.
You're
I'm so
wrong.
sorry, Brian.
That's all right.
I'm so sorry,
Yeah,
Brian.
Okay.
you come into this house, man, you get mud slinging everywhere.
There you go.
Here's my question for you about this guy. I really have a high regard for Chris Collinsworth. I think Chris does an unbelievable job, and I'm not just talking about his skill set in the booth. I think he's the best at what he does. But I also really, really trust his assessment of quarterback play. I think that's, even though he was a wide receiver, I think he does a great job of breaking down the quarterbacks. And the one thing that he kept saying over and over and over again was the processor and how quickly he's going through information. As much as I love Josh Allen, and I do love him, the one thing I haven't seen and it doesn't mean we're not going to see it, but the one thing I haven't seen from Brock Purdy yet is his mind making a decision that his arm can't back up. He's been so good with the football. In fact, as good as anyone over the last 11 games. What are you seeing on his processor?
Yeah, the processor's been unbelievable from the first time he stepped on the field for the 49ers as a rookie, which is something you just don't see. Even as much football as he played in college, it always takes guys, let's wait till year 2, let's wait till year 3. It was immediate. Tom Brady comes into Levi's Stadium last season, and by the end of the game, the crowd was chanting Brock Purdy's name. Brock Purdy's dad is in the crowd with tears coming out of his eyes, and I'm watching this football game like, what the heck is going on? This guy is not supposed to be this good, and he's kept that up and actually improved this year from what we saw last year. There was some frenetic, like you could tell things were going a little fast. But he always finds the right answer. In the New York Giants game this year, Brock Purdy was blitzed more than anybody in the modern era of football, basically. Wink Martindale's defense, they came after him, blitzing him. It was a little funny early, and he did throw some balls. There's some luck that he could have thrown some more interceptions. He has 0 on the season. He could have 1 or 2 potentially. But he figured it out. And by the end of the game, even with blitzers coming at him, he's getting the ball out ridiculously early, right to the spot where it needs to go, and even figures it out in the small small sample of just a single game, let alone how much he's right within a game. Even though you would think that week after week and year after year you get a little bit better, He's figuring this stuff out on the fly during games, even though he hasn't played a full season of football yet. So it's phenomenal. He's going to have a bad game at some point. The haters will come out then. But at this point right now, what he's doing is something that they're going to be writing Hollywood scripts about.
I hope that bad game's Sunday. That's my hope.
One of the things that I looked at, I saw you was coming on, so I just had to get myself prepared for some 49ers stuff. One of the things that you guys do really well is just the run action. Like you guys really threaten all the levels. Like you keep linebackers' eyes glued onto like the motions in different places like that. And in the run game, you guys are able to play power football, but have misdirection. And I just couldn't help but watch. But George Kittle is one of the best blockers, like at tight end. And it's a luxury having that guy because he's out there like really blocking defensive ends. You're moving the misdirection. And then when you look up, you're like, wow, like who am I going to stop? Am I going to stop Christian McCaffrey on these runs? Am I going to blitz? But, Christian McCaffrey is good enough to split out wide and really put moves on corners and catch the football. But I think your running game and being so multiple from different formations really gives guys, a little bit of trouble. Like how do you guys see yourself? Do you guys see yourself as a pass offense or is it the run game that you're really predicated off of?
See, that's what's interesting with Kyle Shanahan and the offense and how it's changing a little bit in 2023. And I think there's the trust level there in Brock Purdy to do more things through the air. But, it's a Shanahan offense. They're going to run the ball. They run the ball well before McCaffrey. They're going to run the ball well after McCaffrey. But then he just adds that extra little bit of positionless football, and you can move him around and do everything. And it's been phenomenal, the fit for Christian McCaffrey in this offense. And really, Kyle Shanahan's offense has always been about putting linebackers' heads in a blender and just, utilizing their athletes that are better than the defense's athletes and using the defense's rules against them. And that's why you see so much motion and even more motion this year, that fast outward motion rather than always across the formation motion, which is a little bit in vogue that Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan are using this year. And how do you stop the 49ers offense when they have all those weapons. And you have these guys are so selfless too. You talked about George Kittle's ability to block. These guys get so hyped when somebody else scores a touchdown. And every week it's going to be a different guy. Maybe it's a Deebo Samuel game. Maybe it's a McCaffrey game. Last week it was George Kittle with 3 touchdowns. They're selfless. They block. The wide receivers block down the field, which helps bigger runs. And you can't focus on just one guy because someone else is going to beat you. And if you play him straight up, you're going to get beat somewhere. So we're calling Brock Purdy Brock 30 because the Niners are putting up 30 points a game, and then good luck scoring 30 on that defense. So right now, the way the 49ers are playing, I just don't know how you slow them down. Although Jim Schwartz has had some of the best, I don't want to say luck, has had some of the best schemes against Kyle Shanahan's offense over the course of his career. So that's the one thing that has to happen, and maybe get that oblong ball bouncing your way a little bit in Cleveland.
Yeah, Schwartz is, I believe, 8-1 against Kyle Shanahan in his career, which is amazing. And the Browns obviously have the defense to play well against them. The problem is the Browns are so limited, offensively. You've lost Nick Chubb for the season, and it's trending towards Watson not playing this week. I mean, you look at the Niners, they don't appear to have any weaknesses at all. I mean, I guess the only way you can make them uncomfortable on offense is to pressure them, but that's not easy to do. And then if you don't get home, I mean, what do you look at? If you had to pick a biggest weakness of the team, what would you pick?
I would say the right side of the offensive line. I would probably try to get Myles Garrett over against the right tackle, Colton McKivitz, as much as possible. We saw in week 1 against the Steelers, J.J. Watt got home multiple times against Brock Purdy. There was 2 strip sacks. The Steelers were able to get one of those turnovers, but the 49ers dominated the rest of the game so much that it didn't matter. And then last week against Micah Parsons, that was sort of the same story. Good defense, right? And you think, okay, Micah Parsons, he's the one that could wreck the game for the 49ers. And he got through, once or twice, but, no sacks. He hit Brock Purdy once. It ended up not being a factor. So even their biggest weaknesses aren't that weak. Not only are they good on offense and defense, they've been awesome on special teams, punting and kicking the ball with rookie Money Moody, too. So at this point, and maybe some new areas of the team will start to show, but I think the right side of the offensive line and then that nickel corner situation, they've kind of had a revolving door with the outside corner nickel spot on the opposite side from Charvarius Ward, and they're trying to figure out what exactly they want to do there, but it looks like they've settled in with Diamador Lenore on the outside and Isaiah Oliver in the slot. So that was another one you think, okay, well, that's where a team could potentially exploit. And CeeDee Lamb was 4 catches for 40 yards, right, last week against the Cowboys. So those weaknesses are very little, and the 49ers have done a great job masking any weaknesses on both sides of the ball that do exist.
It's funny when you have to search the depths of your brain to find a perceived weakness on the team.
That's how good they've been.
It's like, well, I guess the nickel corner's not that good. Right. Well, these are first world problems.
Their
here,
trainer.
Let's talk about McCaffrey a little bit because we haven't specified on him. I mean, we had Nick Chubb, who before his injury, it felt like he was impossible to tackle. He always looked like he was running downhill. McCaffrey does all of that. I would argue Nick Chubb's a little better between the tackles, but it's not by much. But McCaffrey in the passing game is just unmatched, except for maybe by Austin Eckler. I mean, that's about it. His combo game and everything he does is remarkable. So the combination of Purdy, which I think we would all agree, is no matter what you feel about Purdy, he's the best quarterback that they've had in San Francisco. I think that's clear. The combination of him and McCaffrey kind of together late last year has, pardon the cliche, taken this franchise to another level where I think it's going to eventually lead to a Super Bowl, whether it's this year or sometime soon. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the path we're on. Maybe you say the 49ers are peaking a little bit early, which again, we're just kind of nitpicking here. But McCaffrey, you always knew he was good. He's a good runner. Like you mentioned, he's a little lighter, not quite the power back that someone like Chubb or other top backs are, but he's done a good job of trying to get bigger, and he looks even more rocked up this year than he was last year. But one of the things I didn't realize and didn't appreciate as much until I started watching him every week, and you see him in practice, and he's wired a little bit differently. The first day of OTAs, he is flying around the field 100 miles an hour. Like, he's a different guy. And every yard of every run looks like it matters to him, like it is the Super Bowl. And he's so smart, and he knows exactly where to be at all times. He was traded midweek and played he played 2 days after he was traded for the 49ers in Kyle Shanahan's offense, which is one of the most difficult offenses to learn. So it's phenomenal how the competitive toughness that he has, that is something that you kind of could appreciate from afar, but when you see it close up, he's a pretty special guy, the way he's wired. And again, selfless and fits right in with everything else that's going on in that 49ers offense.
So when you look ahead for San Francisco, and I know we're mostly talking about the Browns, but I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on where they are as it pertains to the Eagles. Obviously, last year the Eagles got to the Super Bowl. Purdy wasn't healthy in that game. I'm sure you've seen the Eagles play this season. Do the 49ers match up more favorably this year with obviously a healthy Brock Purdy? Are they a better football team than the Philadelphia Eagles right now?
Yeah, I would say they're more complete top to bottom, and I do think, despite getting another terror on the inside in Jalen Carter in the draft, which is absurd that the rest of the league let the Eagles do that. The Eagles did lose more than they gained in the offseason. You lose both play callers on both sides of the ball. And so I think the 49ers are better than they were last year. They're better at quarterback. They are, they got more players on both sides of the ball playing at a high level right now. Debo was kind of said himself he was awful last year, and he's even a little bit better this year and in the best shape I've seen him since probably his rookie year, maybe 2021. And they're just firing on all cylinders right now. So I think the 49ers are a more complete team, and they are better than they were last year. I think the Eagles are a little worse, and that's scary because the Eagles are still 5-0 though, and I think there's still another level that they're going to hit this year. So when in December, Week 13, 49ers Eagles, that's going to be a popcorn game for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. More importantly, I can't wait for the NFC Championship because I think they're going to play again.
Brian, quick answer to wrap it up: if assuming Deshaun Watson doesn't play, what is more likely to happen this Sunday? Browns win, Niners shutout.
Probably Niners shutout. I will say an athletic quarterback can give this scheme, we've seen all the way back to the Robert Saleh days, some trouble. So that's what you're hoping for, I think, if P.J. Walker's in there at quarterback for you.
Thanks, Brian. Good stuff, man.
Brian, great stuff. Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you very much. Give my best to John Lynch.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks.
If you want to see any more of Brian Peacock, you can find him on the Locked On 49ers podcast or the Williamson and Peacock show on the Locked On NFL Network. Shout out to some guys in the chat real quick. Shout out to Jarrell Jack, Phil Bowman, KR Thunder, and Skilly for gifting 20, and Ray Smith for gifting 31 memberships today.
Nice.
Shout out to you guys.
was
You are the real
televising.
MVPs. If you give memberships, we're going to give you a shout out. You guys deserve it.
Those
we
guys
appreciate you.
Collective
Collective 31 memberships today.
We was in the chat. That was
so.
and I even received a membership. Because I've been in chat so much, I got one.
Earl got one too. So
I
two of those
gifted
32 went to Earl and G. Bush.
Crazy.
YouTube makes it totally
You're now
random.
a member, G.
I'm a member. I'm in the building, man. Stop playing.
That's funny.
Gee, maybe you get overtime content now for the first time.
Yeah, like, right?
When someone does that, are they immediately gifted to only people that are in the chat at that time?
I have, honest to goodness,
You don't
no
know what
idea how
YouTube-
it works.
yeah.
I have no idea how it works. But we appreciate you guys. Everyone I just shouted out, you guys are the best. We love you guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button.
That's funny.
And we are going to move on to No Fence Riders here. Guys, when we ask No Fence Rider questions, I always get upset when we have a unanimous answer because that means I made the question too easy. Today, not a single unanimous answer. And most of these
Good job out of you.
were pretty even splits. Only two were pretty heavy on one side of there. So you guys ready to play a little No Fence Riders NFL edition?
Let's get it done.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, are you ready? Question number one.
Yeah.
Will Myles Garrett have more sacks on Sunday than Nick Bosa? Everybody said no. Everybody went with Nick Bosa except, take it, Steve. For myself, y'all
The
just heard
Nugget.
Brian. The right side of the San
Wow.
Francisco offensive line is porous. Trent Williams on the left side, as good as it gets in the NFL. He is a 1 of 1 left tackle right now. The right side, we don't love PFF grades. No one ranks over a 55. If I'm Jim Schwartz, I'm not even putting Myles Garrett on the Trent Williams side of the field. He's attacking from the right side. TJ Watt got 2 sacks. I'm expecting 2.5 from Myles Garrett. I think Myles Garrett, 2.5 sacks on Sunday.
Just like Micah
in the
Parsons
effort.
did.
Well, they kept trying to put him against Trent Williams. I'm saying avoid that matchup.
He was
Avoid
on the
that
right
matchup.
side a number of times. A lot, actually.
Yeah, he was more than less than T.J. Watt, more than he normally is.
Much more than he normally
But-
is.
This is a game that I look at where the Browns defense knows if we don't show up, it's going to get ugly real fast. And I'm expecting a heroic performance from Myles Garrett. This is a Myles Garrett. Put the team on my broad shoulders game. Prove to us, show us why.
Myles
we
Garrett's
hire
done
you
his
in the
job.
same-
He's played great.
I know, but I'm saying this is a game where he can make a legitimate statement, not just to the people in Cleveland who know how good he is, but to the rest of the league. Hey, when you talk about best pass rushers,
plays when your
this is
team
me.
needs the most.
I am him.
And Sunday, they need him
They're
badly.
going to need him badly.
I will say this. I am drinking the Kool-Aid on the Browns defense. I think they're going to come out and they're going to play their best game of the season. I think they'll come out and play inspired football. You'll see the best game from Zadarius Smith. I think you'll see.
He doesn't have a sack yet.
He doesn't have a sack today. I think I got him.
Man, their best game of the season, though, G-Bush, their first 3 games, their opponents did nothing.
I think when you watch this game, I'm already putting it down. McCaffrey, you're not
shutting
getting
him
no
down.
yard. You're done. Debo Samuel, not getting no money off. Wow. That's done.
What do you think his final score is going to be? 3-0?
No, I've lowered
2-0.
No, I think it's disrespectful. People got him scoring 30 points, and if you Browns,
the Ravens game happened. We saw that.
But guess what? Jim Schwartz had 2 weeks.
That's a fact.
To be in that film room, oh no.
And I did not know, Bull, that Jim Schwartz is 8-1 against.
He is.
Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
Little sneak peek.
That's insane.
Bull, don't get too far into the stats. That is
No,
one of
that's
the 5
it. That's
Packers
all I got.
McNugget
Hey,
stats.
yeah.
I have the deep dive into.
Yeah, I saw some
more
of the other
numbers
stats.
that.
I won't get
And
into
we
it.
haven't heard very much. We heard all the quarterback stuff. We ain't heard nobody on the defense say nothing.
And you know what's funny about the NFL? How many times are there matchups like this where everybody says this was easy?
Yeah, right.
And it's not.
And it's not.
I mean, that's
we'll
why
be
the
singing a different
NFL
tune
is the
on Monday,
greatest
yeah.
league in the world. Look, it might end up being, everybody picked San Francisco against Dallas, and that one was easy. They got that one right. But this one is even easier for the experts. What's the line now?
It was 7 last time I checked.
Started at 3, 3.5. Already moved to 7, and it's probably not done.
I remember watching it, and I'm not saying these guys were on the same level, but I remember LeBron James when they played the Pistons, and there was no reason that should even have been in those Pistons games.
Right.
And he scored 25 in a row, and everybody collectively was like, oh, no, he's the best. If Myles Garrett ever wants to be known as the best player in the world
Now's
right
the
now,
time.
he can go out and show out this game, and when you got Nick Bosa and his team rolling in here, he's the best in the world.
Wouldn't it just be the way, though? Like
Right.
P.J. Walker balls out.
And then I come in
Miles
here,
Garrett, 4 sacks. Everybody gets an interception. Even the guys that don't get interceptions.
It picks. DPJ takes one to the house.
Because Purdy is due to throw a pick.
The one thing I'll say, though.
He's got to throw one.
The one thing I'll say, though, is you talked about this, I think, yesterday. The Niners offense, they get rid of the ball quickly.
Yeah.
Purdy, I think, is third in terms of shortest time throwing the ball.
2.3?
Is Bullion just taking all my 5-pack and McNugget
Sure.
stats he needed
Yep.
for Sunday?
Well,
I
but
mean,
it is. It's 2.4 seconds third in
okay.
the league.
Yeah.
And that's why when I was deciding
tough
who's
to
going to
sack.
I think Miles is going to be his normal disruptive self, but you've got one quarterback, an offense that's known for quarterbacks just holding the ball
Well,
forever.
it's third fastest for San Francisco, third slowest.
Well,
and that's
part of
why I
that-
say Bosa's going to get home more than Miles.
But part of that is, I bet you most of the teams that are slower throwing the ball
Mobile
are the mobile quarterbacks,
Sure, yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
Brock
Buffalo-
Purdy is a statue. He doesn't run at all.
I'm not going to call him a statue. I don't think he's fast, but I think he does a really good job, and Brady did this too, stepping up into the pocket, making one move in the pocket
No,
that
but both
buys
saying
him a
like
second.
legit mobile. The
He's
teams
not
that
mobile.
lead the NFL.
No.
He doesn't
No,
run
But
ever.
there's
but I'm saying
he
the
said he
teams-
called him a statue.
He's not a
Statues
statue,
to me
no.
are guys that drop back and never move.
Well, who's that?
Believe it or not, they're out there. When you drop back and you're able to feel pressure, slide, step, move, Purdy does that very well.
Very well.
Yeah, I'm just saying he has no ability to run at all.
Not Deshaun Watson.
No, he's not anything. He's not even Joe Burrow in terms of an ability to run.
No,
He doesn't
He's got
run
a
at
little
all.
more wiggle than I think you're giving him credit for.
What he can do is
He had,
buy a little bit of time with the move in the pocket. He does not want to run the football, nor would I want him running the
No,
football.
he doesn't run the ball ever.
And I don't
mean,
want him to,
yeah.
ever. He's too good throwing it. Don't goof it up. Just drop back, buy yourself a little
Well, they don't
extra
need
time,
him to. They don't
and
need
throw
him
the
to
football.
either. And he's just not that type of quarterback.
Let's get to the next one, and this was a perfect split, a 4-3, which is what I love to see when we have 7 answers. That means we are right down the fence. The question is, will Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, and Cedric Tillman combined, those 3 combined, have more receiving yards than Christian McCaffrey
Receiving
on
yards.
Sunday?
Well, 3 wide receivers have – now, Tillman doesn't play, really, but have more receiving yards than a running back.
And this was a 4-3
It's
split.
sad that this is even a real question.
We ain't even seen him.
Because what you're asking is, will 3 wide receivers from one team have more receiving yards than a running back from the other team?
That's crazy.
But the fact that this is a legitimate
That's
question
crazy.
does 2 things. It speaks to the excellence of Christian McCaffrey as a diverse player. It also speaks to the horrific wide receiver room that the Cleveland Browns are working with right now.
That is horrible.
So to this question, we had 3 yeses and 4 nos, and all 3 of you sitting out there were part of the no category. Tyvis, Jason, and myself thinks the Browns receivers outgained Christian McCaffrey in terms of receiving yards. The 3 of you and my fine gentleman to my right, Earl, all said no.
Well, I answered this with the assumption that Deshaun Watson is not going to play. If I knew Deshaun Watson was going to play, obviously I'd flip. Would you guys all flip?
Well, that's exactly why I
Yeah,
did it, too.
right,
If Deshaun Watson's playing, this is not a question.
Yeah.
But he's not, in all likelihood.
Right.
We're assuming.
Right.
I shouldn't even say that. We don't know in all likelihood.
No.
We don't know anything. We know that he hasn't practiced in 2 weeks.
At this point, it's fair to assume he's not going to play.
That would be a fair assumption.
But it's not a sure
And that's
thing.
where I'm leaning,
Right.
and that's why I went
Yeah,
this way.
because
But if he's playing, I believe they can get more receiving
they'll have
yards
more.
than McCaffrey.
But first of all, Cedric Tillman hasn't played really.
So I crossed him off the
So
list.
to me, it's like Elijah Moore and DPJ. I'm like, they'll probably get 50 yards between them.
You would hope.
If you're lucky with PJ Walker, and I think McCaffrey, and I think that's best case scenario is 50 yards between them if PJ Walker's playing.
Yeah.
Because I think PJ Walker will throw for like 125 yards.
That's my expectation.
When is it okay to just say you were fooled and you were duped on Elijah Moore?
Hey, I was never duped.
No, I wasn't either.
I thought he'd
kept
be
saying,
okay.
Where is this guy I'm hearing about?
I mean, Tyvis said he was the most important player, more important than Cooper. Earl, I think, had him third on his most
You know what they
important Browns
call
list.
a batting practice, a power hitter, Bull? They call him a 5 o'clock hitter. Okay?
Yeah.
Because he puts on a show at 5 o'clock.
Right.
But when the game starts, he's nowhere to be seen.
That's right.
I'm wondering if he isn't football's version of a training camp hero. He was making all these great catches. We saw the video. It wasn't just
His
people were
training
telling
camp
us.
performance was
We
legendary.
saw the video of him
Legendary.
beating top-notch cover corners, making unbelievable catches, but somehow,
It's
some
practice.
way,
I'm
we
not-
can't do it in the game.
I'm not
ready to give up on him
I'm
yet,
not
though.
giving up either,
No.
but I'm with you asking the question.
I just want to know when. I'm gonna go along with y'all. Like I got shirts to sell. I can't be like killing them too much. I'm gonna go when y'all.
You got a business venture.
I got a business to run. You know what it is.
There you go.
There you go.
Speaking of this, G. Bush, you're giving away a couple of these
Oh yeah, listen. See, y'all been asking for it. You wanted the Kool-Aid Mafia in Brown's color. And here's what I'm gonna do.
go.
This is my answer to the terrible towel. You got the Kool-Aid Mafia bandana,
Wow.
and you have those. And we're gonna give 5 of those away. You listen to the show today, 3 p.m. You get we send you those out. We'll give you an opportunity to win 5 of those. I'm gonna give out 5 of those if you get listen to the show. Yeah, we're ready to go. 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
By the way,
Yes, sir.
Steve Becker, kudos to Steve, who usually gives us just a pain in the ass on text. But I love
say
you,
nothing.
Steve.
I
love
was
you,
just
Steve.
looking.
But he did say that Brock Purdy did run some in college. He actually had 1,100 yards in 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's
not a statue.
He
Here's
just doesn't run ever.
Here's why. He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to,
Their
yeah.
offense is 2 steps, get the ball out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't mean that he can't run.
Yeah.
It means that he hasn't
Fair
been
enough.
called on.
Fair enough.
So, and if he had 1,100 yards in
See,
college,
unlike Jay, I can admit when I'm wrong.
well, the numbers tell you you're wrong. You're factually wrong.
And I admit it.
Well, that's a great
My numbers
segue.
tell me I'm factually right.
No. I'm
That's
not
a
going to
great
start. We're not
segue
gonna
to
do
Yeah,
it.
our
we're not
next
gonna go down
question
that
because it's involving the one and only Brock Purdy, the number one.
The
We're the number one
Brock.
Brock.
From now on this program, he's known as the Brock.
I will not call. And I like him, but I'm not
Can
calling
you
him the Brock.
smell what the Brock is cooking?
The next question.
Oh, my God.
The person who is by himself on this fence is not here right now, so we'll have to answer
Josh Allen's
how we
nickname?
assume Jason would have answered. But will the Browns hold Brock Purdy to a quarterback rating under 100 on Sunday? Keep in mind he has gone over 108 of his 11 games.
Did you ask that question?
And you answered yes.
Oh, shit. You know what? I might
You
have.
did.
All of my answers from here on down might be wrong then because I might have answered them out of order.
You answered them all.
I don't
You
ever
answered all
remember
6, though.
seeing that as a question.
I'm looking at the text right now. You answered it.
Okay.
Well, Jason was the only one who said he will have a quarterback rating over 100. The rest of us said under 100.
Well-
I'll give you my 2 cents, and then floor's yours. It's going to be crappy weather, and that's as a good defense, crappy weather, bad quarterback.
Yeah, that's a really tough ask. But I still think that, I don't remember seeing that question, so that could have been my bad. All of my answers from here on out might be one question lower. I might have goofed them all up.
I'm expecting this game to be very low scoring.
Are you?
Yeah.
Like under 40? Because I think
I think it could
According
be.
to FanDuel, number one sports fan book, number one fan
But I love
sportsbook in the
FanDuel.
world. We love FanDuel. 37.5 right now.
I'm leaning towards predicting this game to be under 30 points.
Really?
Yeah.
God, I hope you're right. Look, obviously, the lower scoring it is, the better chance we have.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm if we can keep this under,
I'm with G. I believe in the Browns defense. I think last week was an anomaly, or the Ravens game was an anomaly, and I think they're going to play very well. Now, the Niners will score because they're really good, but
Right.
they're not going to shut them out. And I just don't see how the Browns are going to do anything on offense without Watson.
I'm with you.
And,
Maybe their defense can score a couple
Yeah,
of touchdowns.
that's what you got to hope for.
I think here's what I think you do as well. People may think I'm crazy for this. I've been looking at the tape. Hey man, you need to go ahead and start Kareem Hunt. Go ahead and start him. Go ahead and start him.
Why?
Because I need some between the tackles inside zones.
And use Ford as the third down
And
back?
Ford is a third down guy.
Interesting.
Because I need to get those hard bruised yards.
What about Pierre Strong?
I like
You see
Pierre
him a little
Strong
bit?
too. I like to
I
see
want
him
him
a lot
more.
too. I like the Browns running in between the tackles. The outside game is not working. It's not. You don't have enough to get it. Run inside behind your strength in the 3 guys up front. And I think it's a game Kareem Hunt could get some of those tough yards in the middle.
By the way,
Interesting.
the Broncos apparently going to be having a fire sale here soon. Like they're
I
moving
saw
on from
that.
Frank
I saw that
Clark
yesterday.
this week.
Yeah.
And
When
Jerry
does the coach and quarterback go?
Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton are both guys who Browns should be interested in.
Man.
And also Samaje Perine. He had a great year for the Bengals last year.
By the way, quiet as kept. These receivers, we just talked about it. If you haven't seen that this is regular, the Browns need more receivers. Give me Sutton or Jeudy. I need
And
either
get
or.
Perine. Go
What
get Perine
would
too.
the tag be for either of those guys?
Third or fourth rounder?
4s, 5s.
Yeah.
You got to pay
on to these
Judy.
draft
That's
picks.
Sutton's a little more financially reasonable because Judy's going to want a contract, but they're
Right.
both definitely options. And next Tuesday, we have a couple trades that we are going to throw out here, including a few that
okay.
involve the Denver Broncos. But before we get to any of that, we got to see how this week goes. Who knows?
losing our
Maybe this
draft
is the
picks,
Elijah
man.
Moore
That's all we
breakout
have.
game or the Cedric Tillman breakout game. We're going to find out.
They
You
should
guys ready
play
for the next
Cedric
question?
Tillman. Let's see what he's got.
Yes, start him.
Come on.
I'm ready.
Put him out there.
These other guys are doing nothing besides
Nothing.
Cooper. Let's go.
One thing we don't see is what happens in practice.
Yeah, I hear you. But can he be any worse than these other guys have been?
I would think not. Some of them have barely registered on the Richter scale.
DPJ is averaging 17.5 yards per game right now, so that's our number 3. All right, next up.
For a second, I thought Mike said 17 and a half yards per
Per
catch.
reception.
I did too.
And I was like,
I
oh,
thought he
that's
was gonna
good.
say that too. I was
And
like,
then
that's
oh, wait,
fantastic.
he said per game.
Yeah, man.
He's got 75 yards in 4 games.
And how many catches per game?
DPJ in 4 games this year has 6 catches, so 1.5 catches per game.
6 catches through 4 games.
Puka Nacua has like 900
He has 6 in every game.
More than 6.
More than
Well,
6.
more than 6. And our number 2 has 6 catches through 4. They are the Guardians outfield.
Overvalued. Look, we
Well, no, because you got Cooper at least.
greatly
Yeah.
we greatly exaggerated the skill level of these receivers. It's looking like one of the worst. Besides Cooper, it's one of the worst receiver rooms in the league.
It might be the worst without Cooper if you take him out.
Well,
No,
you
without
can't
Cooper, it's
you can't
unquestionably
take out the
worse.
best guy, Mike.
Yeah,
That's
but if you
unfair.
take him out, if you take everybody's best receiver out,
Yeah.
I would bet the Browns would be 32nd
Yep.
in
Facts.
receiving yards.
They'd
There's
certainly
a
be in the
couple
bottom
terrible.
5 or 6.
The Giants
I don't know.
have any receivers.
Giants
so
have
that'd be-
0
I'll take
receivers.
Jalen Hyatt over
Call up the
Cedric
Giants
Tillman.
right now. Tell me what their receiver numbers are. And
don't
put
want-
ours up on the screen while
They're
you tell
not
us.
any good.
You don't want to know.
They're,
Trust me.
Yeah.
Man, they are bad. Danny Dimes got decked, 9 or 10 times against the Seahawks?
11
Now he's
sacks.
Danny dinged.
He got 10. The team got 11.
The Giants' leading receiver is Darius Slayton with 162 yards in
Okay.
5 games. This is 5 games.
Right.
Right.
Their
So
second
he's
leading
averaged like
receiver-
30-something yards a game.
Yeah, their second leading receiver is Isaiah Hodgins with 107, and that's it. They have 2
That's
receivers
more than
over 100.
DPJ is averaging. He's averaging over 20 a game.
I mean, is there really much of a difference there?
Well, 17, 20.
If we're
I
arguing
know.
over 21 yards or 4 yards
Yeah,
per
we're
game, we
arguing
have
over
legitimate
which team
issues.
is all-time worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to
Yeah.
the next fence rider question. This one I had a little fun with. Did not expect the answers I got. Will Kareem Hunt have more rushing yards than Deebo Samuel? A 4-3 split. Earl Bull and Jay are on the Kareem Hunt train. G, myself, Jason, and Tyvis.
G's on it now because he just said he should start this game.
Stefanski won't do it. He'll come out of 5 wide. He's not gonna do it. You know it's coming. First
He
drive.
will not come out in
five
wide.
wide.
He will not come out in 5 wide.
Hey, we didn't play a gentleman's bet. We can bet a case of cola. Jay don't drink cola.
I'll drink whatever you want to bet on this one. He is not coming out in 5 wide.
I guarantee PJ Walker.
I'm turning the game off if he does.
If PJ Walker in the first series, no matter what, he will go 5 wide.
Well,
in the
maybe
first
if
series.
it's 3rd and 18, and it may well be.
But that's still tough. You got to have it back to block.
They don't run with Sit Debo as much as they did pre-McCaffrey.
Right, they don't. No question.
And I think 3 of the last 4 games he's had under 10 yards rushing.
Kareem Hunt has had 25 yards in 2 games now, so it's
Give me Kareem.
it's who's going to get to 15 first, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And I'm with G. I like the idea
I would
of,
do it.
Go back to this guy, and he's a hard runner. This is going to be a physical game.
Yes.
I want someone that's going to take the fight to them.
Yes.
and he's had a month to get ready.
Yes, he
now.
should
So
be in
let's
football,
go.
Jay.
Do you know, you got to use psychology. You got to listen, Kareem. We know you feel like you a bell cow back. We feel like you still a starter. And look, we going to need you to come out here and do your thing. And you know how hard Kareem Hunt will run?
He's going to play angry.
He always does.
I'd give him 20 carries if he could handle it.
And on
If he
the
plays
bright
well.
side, we talked about this. He's handled the ball like 1,200 times in the NFL, and has
He
lost
doesn't fumble.
4 fumbles.
Yeah.
So
I mean, listen,
I
Jerome
think
one
Ford.
fumble. I can't remember.
Shake it up.
One fumble.
Shake it up,
One fumble.
Stefanski. Let's see Tillman and Kareem Hunt in the starting lineup. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's
we got
go.
to lose.
What-
Let's
yeah,
go.
let's
Are you
do it.
talking to me? Hold on. Are they talking me into some? Hold on.
G. Bush.
Hold on.
Do it.
Whoa.
Do it.
Listen, are they? And this is a medium
Browns
flavor, too.
34, Niners 3.
Don't you dare do it to me. Bull, you giving me, listen, I like what you're saying right now. If you give me 3 more comments, I might be able to pull out the red. This
Yeah,
is-
but the reality is Harrison Bryant will get more carries than Kareem Hunt.
Right. He'll be doing quarterback sneaks. Green apple.
We can
Question
dream.
number
We
5.
can't dream. Let's dream.
Question number 5. Will the Browns and 49ers combine, the 2 teams combine, for more touchdowns than sacks on Sunday? One of the
Wait,
three
hold on
out
a second,
there.
Mike. Can I just? I'm sorry. I want to. 1 second, really quick. Cedric Tillman's probably been playing a lot with PJ Walker in practice.
Yeah, that's true. They
Yes,
might have
yes.
chemistry.
So they,
Yeah.
there you
They've
go.
got
Go
that
ahead, Mike.
JV chemistry.
That's right, exactly.
JB.
Well, Tillman also played high school football with DTR. That didn't seem to help against
Yeah,
them.
you're right.
So
Don't
Y'all missed
kill
that
my
one.
narrative.
Yeah, don't
I'm
rain
just
on
saying,
our parade.
listen, I am riding and campaigning for Cedric Tillman here. All right. Will the Browns and 49ers combine for more total touchdowns than sacks on Sunday? One of the 3 out there
Well, the Browns.
is hopeful. The other 2 is more on the defensive side. Jay, you and Tyvis think there'll be more touchdowns than sacks. Explain.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be very difficult for us to get Brock Purdy. And on the other hand, I'm very concerned that the Browns could give up a large number of sacks.
But you got more touchdowns than sacks.
I do.
Yeah.
My thinking in doing this was they know what's coming. They're not going to go 5 wide. I would think the game plan is you're never going to get to the top of your drop. You're going to get, everything's going to be 1, 2, out. That's it. You can't expect to drop back against this team and stand there at the back of your drop and look for receivers. That will lead to many, 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 many sacks. So they've had 2 weeks to get ready for this. What does a good coach do? He looks at what the opposition does best. They get to quarterbacks. That's what they do. So everything in this game plan, when I see Kevin Stefanski for the first time, and it looks something like this, every play on this sheet better be a 2-second play.
Yep.
And I think they're going to surprise us.
Yeah.
And hopefully in the third quarter we're hearing the announcers saying, we haven't been calling Bosa's name. We haven't been calling the defensive front's names. Yeah. That's my hope.
I only got 2
and a man can dream.
I only have 2 touchdowns in the game.
Yeah, well, you think it's going to go under 30.
So all I need is 3 sacks.
3 sacks.
Yeah.
I really think.
I mean, San Francisco scored 6 against Dallas.
If you're the Cleveland,
I hear you, but it wasn't on the road and in bad weather.
Facts.
And I think the Browns' defense is better than Dallas's defense. I think so.
Yeah. I do too.
I'd have
all around
triple option plays. No, I'm dead serious. Like,
does Walker run an RPO package? I haven't seen. I don't know what he does.
I don't know. I
know he can run.
Because if he can run an RPO package,
we're running all kind of.
Maybe that's what you do.
And by the way, I'm running read option, quarterback draw, all because if he gets hurt, I really don't care. We can go to DTR. We all hands on deck.
Right. He passes out in the field. Screw him. Keep moving.
Hey, come on,
get him up. Smelling salts.
You know what the fun thing about this is? This game will actually be kind of fun as I twist my head in here and all things moving. We will be watching this game. And it'll be fun because there's no expectations.
Right. You're true. That's
true.
Absolutely. We expect bad things to happen, so it could be fun.
It'd be a fun. This is the game.
It's not like the Steelers where we expected them to win and they lost.
Yeah, 3 or 4 trick plays. If you want to run a fake punt, hey, listen. This is one of them games where and this is the Mac guy talking here. If you want to go down to Ohio State or Michigan and have a upset, here's what you got to do. You got to return something on special teams, either a block or they fumble a snap or you block something or you take a punt to the crib. You got to get multiple sacks and pressure on the quarterback. You got to get some turnovers. You got maybe a pick 6.
You got to slow the game down.
And then take the air out of the football.
Right.
You want them to be on the sideline like, dang.
We can't get the ball. They've had it for 9 minutes.
I'll tell you this, at the end of the game, I know in general I don't believe in moral victories and losses.
Right.
But at the end of the game, if the Browns play well enough that they lost a close game and we could say, if Watson had played, the Browns probably would have won that game.
Massive.
You won't feel that bad Monday.
I agree because
Massive.
you know why? We've been dealing with this loss since Sunday.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been, like normally in the Jets game, we had 0.4 seconds to realize that we were going to lose.
Pivot.
And then it's like hits you like an avalanche.
Yeah.
We've really, all of us have been saying they don't have much of a chance here.
Right.
So we've kind of already conditioned our minds to being 2 and 3.
If
they
right.
can make it close.
If they play a hard-fought battle, the only way we'll be mad about it is if there was a coaching decision that cost them the game.
Win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Jed Wills gives up a sack fumble that leads to the game-winning touchdown.
Like Pittsburgh.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Do you guys
ahead,
believe
Mike.
this? So I'm with Bull. Moral victories don't really exist. There's very, very rare occurrences where a moral victory exists, but I do believe in like a devastating defeat.
There's levels to losses.
Yes.
That's what I've always said.
And if it turns out to be an ugly loss, then we come in Monday. It's DEFCON like.
It is.
Yeah, and for anybody who says that's nonsense, ask the Cowboys how they felt Monday after the 42-10. And look, let's just face it. If we come in here and it's a 42-10, the temperature in this room, there's going to be no air in this studio.
Right,
but if we lose 28-27 on a last-second touchdown by Brock Purdy, then we're going to say we had the best team in the NFL on the ropes. There's a different level to that.
Even better, and I think more likely to keep it close, if they lost like 10-6.
I'm pumped.
Yes.
And the defense just played their butts off.
You're right, because what that means is this defense that we thought was elite just proved it against
the
one of the
best
best
team.
offenses in the game.
I'm thoroughly excited. If it's 10-6,
Because like, can we get Watson back? Because we can go beat Seattle with Watson in that defense.
Absolutely.
That leads us right to our final fence rider question. This is a 4-3 split again, right down the middle. Will either team score a touchdown of at least 45 yards on Sunday? Tyvis, Bull, Jason, and G all said yes, a long touchdown will be scored. Myself, Earl, and Jay said not a chance.
I believe in this defense. And I know we're not scoring a 45-yard touchdown.
And that ain't, and the 45-yard touchdown that I got is not by the offense. It is by it's either a punt or a fumble return or a pick six of some magnitude.
You don't think the offense will produce a 45-yard touchdown?
As good as I think the Browns defense is, as low a score as I think they're going to hold the Niners to, I still think they'll have one long touchdown by McCaffrey in the game.
I just believe in this in both defenses so much. Typically, great defenses don't give up those long ones. We'll see. If there is one, I hope it's only one, because that gives us more of a chance.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to score a 45-yard touchdown. What's our longest touchdown this year?
I will look that up.
Probably Chubb or Ford's 71-yard run.
That wasn't a touchdound, though, but that was the longest.
He got tackled right before the goal line.
Longest touchdown was the 42-yard pass to Amari Cooper.
Okay, so we don't have a 45-yard touchdown this year. I wonder if the Niners do.
I'll tell you now. The Niners.
Yeah, I'm sure
they do.
More than one.
Yes, Christian McCaffrey has a 65-yard touchdown run.
Okay.
But their longest pass play this year, 42 yards.
Just like ours.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't, because they don't drop him to the back of, to the top of the drop.
Right.
He goes a couple steps and he throws the football.
We got to get a fast read in here, guys. Got a couple super chats. Then we're going to do a quick little topic before Aditi joins us. But whenever we read you guys super chats, we got a couple really good ones today. It's brought to us by our dear friends over at PCC Airfoils. You're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Got a couple super chats to read. Once again, shout out to everybody who was gifted memberships today. You guys are the OGs. We appreciate it. The first one comes from Ronaldo Archer. This is the most entertaining sports show on any platform. I served as the Browns captain under Marty and chief of security Ted Chappelle. My wife is a doctor here in Naples, Florida.
Wow.
She says a severe bruise can become a tear, 6 weeks to recover, to be about 75% mobility. Rest is a key to recovery, more than the Browns are letting on. Love Jay's, these are big words. Pedantic, 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 nomenclature and academic athletic jargon. Shout out to Ronaldo.
Jargon.
We appreciate it.
Jargon.
Jargon.
Or as they say
It's a
in
Jersey
Sweden,
thing.
jargon.
M. Bine says Deshaun can't be in his feelings and risk alienating his teammates. The only person that can quiet this noise is Deshaun himself. He needs to come out and speak, say he is healing okay with whatever the coach and team decide is best moving forward. We have one from Kevin Robinson. Stop giving the quarterback a pass with wide receiver passing stats. Simple says, just a question out of curiosity.
Who's giving him a pass for that?
I'm not giving him a pass.
I don't know.
I mean, he's indicted just like all of the other receivers.
The whole team thing.
Just out of curiosity, this question is from Simple. What does a Browns Super Bowl parade look like compared to the 2016 Cavaliers Championship parade?
Well, you have to take into account it'll be February, so it all depends on the weather. I've always said that. If we ever get one, my prayer and my hope is that it's 50 degrees and sunny.
I don't.
But it's highly unlikely you'll get that.
Jay, I don't think it matters.
Well,
if the Browns won, it's going to be bedlam.
No, but
worse than the Cavs.
Imagine this, because this happens in Northeast Ohio. At that time, we're getting a nor'easter.
People will risk their lives to be at that parade.
I think you're
they
right.
would. 100%.
But and what if it's -6 below zero, like it was for the Saints game?
Then people will die. goddammit.
Jay,
I'm with Bull. I think people will die at the parade.
No,
like
Jay,
they would die.
People will be bringing their loved.
I love you, Bull.
People,
God, you know I do.
People will be bringing their loved ones' ashes to that.
You're right about that.
100%.
You know what? You're right.
They would be like, he's with their loved ones, their dogs.
Would it be the craziest sports celebration parade we've ever seen?
I think so.
Not
Yes.
just in Cleveland, but I mean.
Oh, I think so.
Yes.
I think it would.
I think there'll be guys from Parma carrying actual dead bodies through the downtown Cleveland. Specifically Parma guys.
And you got to
Let me
lift
ask
them
you this.
overhead, too.
What was the
Just kidding.
What
I'm
was the
picking on you.
Cubs parade like? I mean,
I wasn't able to go.
No, I know you weren't,
Yeah.
but you watched it probably on
Yeah,
TV.
it was nuts.
Like, that's what,
Yeah, it was
to
nuts. It
me,
was-
that's what this would be equivalent to.
Yeah.
The Red Sox, when they won their parade under Tito the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
It was just like, you're talking about, in this case, 58 years of football frustration and the cork coming out of the bottle.
But the thing, too, with the Browns versus the Cavs, now this is tricky, as you say, because of the weather.
That day
But-
was one of the most beautiful days in Cleveland history.
Right.
weather-wise.
It was amazing. And
Perfect.
And it was that day was incredible. Nobody that was there would ever
Right,
forget it.
right.
But the Browns have a way bigger following than the Cavs and Guardians do. Because
There'd be people coming to Cleveland
Right.
for the parade.
Because-
how many fans do we know? Half of our views are from out of the state.
Right.
People would come back to Cleveland for that parade. Our
There-
airports would be jammed.
there are a lot of people in their late 60s to early 80s that are not from Cleveland, were never lived in Cleveland, that are Browns fans across the country because Jim Brown would be on TV, and that would be the game they would
great
watch.
when they were young.
That's why my dad was a Browns fan.
know.
as a
I
kid.
wouldn't You said that
I
before.
wouldn't even say, like, you got to wait till, even if they win the AFC Championship game.
And go to a Super Bowl.
And the Browns are going to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
people would cry. It wouldn't matter
I'll cry.
if they won.
Gee, I will cry.
Like I can't imagine.
Well, it matters if they win, but it would
No,
still
it
reach a
does.
level.
It
But
does.
just to be on the biggest stage, we
Yeah.
haven't even been on the biggest
Nope.
stage. Here's the math to this, and it really isn't as accurate as I'm going to say because there's 32 teams now. When the Super Bowl was only 10 years old, there were 28 teams.
Yeah.
Right.
But let's just say there's 30 teams and there's 58 Super Bowls. Well, there's only 15 or 16 in your conference.
Right.
All you have to do to get to a Super Bowl is be one of 15 or one of 16 for 58 years, and we haven't done it.
That's crazy.
How many
The
teams
odds
have
of
not
that
gone to
happening-
the Super Bowl that have been around since the beginning? Not many.
No,
the
two.
the
The
Lions and the Browns, right?
Oh, no, Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
that's
since
three.
that have been around since the beginning.
Just us and the Lions.
Right.
Now, here's another way that drives your mind nuts.
Yeah.
If you think of it where, and the NFL rotates its talent cycle, draft and everything else. If it's done on a mathematical basis, every team in the AFC should be going on their fourth Super Bowl. Most of them would have already been to 3. That's if you rotate every 15 years, you get to win, you get to win, you get to win. That means every 15 years you're in a Super Bowl, or 16 now.
Right.
So that means 32 would be 2 cycles where everybody gets a chance. 48 would be everybody gets a chance 3 times.
Right.
And 64, which we're 6 away from, would be every team gets a chance 4 times. And we haven't figured it out once.
What's amazing is, in just the last, 30 years, the Cavs have gone 5 times, and the
Guardians have been
and the
there
Guardians have gone 3
3
times.
times.
That's crazy.
And yet, those teams have inherent disadvantages in their sports.
Financial.
Well, financial in baseball and basketball.
Location.
It's location,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Whereas football, location doesn't really matter.
Look at Green Bay.
And money, it's a salary cap.
You're
you know?
right.
So there's no
So
disadvantage.
they've overcome massive disadvantages
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
other
yeah.
2
Right.
to get there.
Yes.
And collectively, they've been there 7 times.
8.
8 times.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Browns haven't managed it once.
I cried just to see the uniforms, man. Just to see,
I know when we were watching the Super Bowl at my house last year, when they were doing the introductions and they were coming on the field, G. Bush leans over to me and he goes, "Man, I'd be crying like a baby right now."
You're right,
The
it's just
Browns
special.
running out of the tunnel.
Even though the Bengals haven't won the Super Bowl, I've been able to see them in it 3 times.
Yeah.
And obviously it's disappointing when you lose. But just getting there
You got
feels
the
really
day.
special.
You got the
yes,
day.
it's
Yeah.
special. Yeah.
And it's the
Want
2
the
weeks of
day.
lead up where the spotlight is on just your team and
Yes.
one other. It's
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, when they get there,
better win.
I'll probably call off for a week if they lose. Because it will steamroll
how would we do shows?
with tears.
We would be doing these shows during the week.
G. Bush joins us from UH. Jay's sitting by at Cleveland Clinic. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be a mess, bro.
Were you on the air after the Guardians lost to the Cubs?
I had to go right on the air.
Oh, yeah.
I was
you
on
were
the
still
field
on ESPN, yeah.
watching the celebration,
Yeah.
and 10 minutes later, I was on ESPN.
That was horrible.
It was weird for me because the next day I'm on the radio, and I was happy personally, but also sympathetic to all the fans.
Sure, I can
And
understand.
so it was a weird, I
It was
didn't
a tough
celebrate
spot
on
for
the
you.
air.
Yeah, really tough for you.
Yeah,
Earl wants to chime in on this. What's up, Earl?
So I was working down the street at the Justice Center at that time, and I remember I parked my car at City Hall. I was walking to the Justice Center to go to work, and the brand new hotel that's right there, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think fans and maybe some players were staying there. And I'll never forget this dude had his Cubs jersey on. He just ran up in my face, like jumping Cubs, this Indians suck. And I told him, like, it's going to be a repeat of last night when a Cubs fan got knocked out if you ain't get up out of here.
Yeah, do not run
poor
into
behavior.
the face. Yeah, do not get into the face
Fans get
of
carried
a
away.
fan after a Game 7 or a Super Bowl or a championship loss. Don't do that. Win
Wait,
with
because
class.
Jay,
Ain't it crazy?
Jay, here's what made it even worse. We coming off the high of the Cavs winning the championship
Right.
in
Right.
Game 7.
Right.
And then after the home run was hit by, I think it was Raji Davis, I'm thinking the Guardians was going to win this thing.
Me too.
And so to be
Come on,
disappointed
Earl.
like that.
How could you be saying you think it was Rajay
He
Davis?
got it. He got it right.
Come on, you can't be saying I think.
So like to be that,
that's
like be that
the
gassed
most
up and then be
exciting
that
moment in
disappointed.
sports history.
Is that the most exciting
Yes.
moment in the history of a losing team in the World Series?
Hey, bro.
Yes.
I literally was
That
in
was
my house.
crazy.
I was literally in my house, and I've never heard the voices of so many people just outside scream at once.
Oh, really?
I was outside. It was outside. People were screaming.
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" Like they just my whole neighborhood.
That was as unlikely a home run
Ever.
as you could ever
Well,
imagine.
I told you what Bernie said. I'll never forget the moment because
Yeah.
we were in the dugout suite, me, Bernie, my son, and my producer, my Sports Center on the Road producer, who's from Cleveland and a huge sports fan. Actually, he's from Columbus. But he was drafted as a major league pitcher. He pitched back-to-back no-hitters in high school, blew out his arm and never got to the majors. But we were watching that, and just before the home run, I said, does it have to be Rajay Davis that's up right now?
Right.
I mean, because that's how
it was-
insurmountable
well,
that felt.
let's just say, but when Michael Martinez came up as the
Boy,
last batter.
yeah, I know. I go, there's no one you would least rather have up in that
he
spot.
was
And
throwing smoke.
Oh, it was.
It was
I think I told you
103.
guys.
I'm like,
it looked like CG. I've never thought that before. But when he came into the game and was warming up, we all looked at one another and said, "That looks fake," because we'd never seen or heard the pop like that before. He hit the home run, and we all four are hugging, jumping up and down. We didn't even see him round the bases. When we finally let go, he was already getting congratulations in the dugout.
Yeah.
Bernie told me that night, even after the loss, in all of my entire life, all of my athletic achievements, he won a Super Bowl in Dallas. He had some unbelievable highs here with the Browns and in college at the University of Miami. He said, in all of my life, that is the most exciting play I've ever witnessed. And I asked him about a year later, I said, was that prisoner of the moment? No. I've never felt euphoria like I did that night.
Man,
That was crazy.
crazy.
We got two more super chats real quick. Brody's bottom line says he wants us to stop comparing the Cowboys and Browns defense because they're not the same. The Browns haven't given up 800 total yards of offense yet. And Rated R says, what's up, guys? Love the show. Question. I can never get an answer to this. Hope you guys can. If you want Kevin gone, who do you want to replace him, not just this year, but long term?
I haven't reached that point yet where I want to
yeah,
gone.
I haven't thought of it yet.
I can't do that because, like, I don't like punting on stuff, bro. Like, I'm still invested in like trying to win. And
But you're the closest one among us.
So
if not Kevin, who?
Oh, well, listen, we already know what has happened. He's already on the staff.
No, I don't want to see Jim Schwartz be the head coach.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't? I don't.
Oh, yes, I do.
You mean for next year?
Yeah.
Oh.
And here's what I would do. Now, here's what
Someone's going to hire him next year as a head coach.
Yeah, he's not going to be here.
And that might actually play into the Browns' thinking at the end of the year if there is a 9-8, like I predict, or even at 10-7, but they miss. One of the things they're going to have to factor is, because he's going to get an offer as a head coach. I know he's had a try already and failed, but I just think the job he's done here has caught everybody's attention again.
And his mentality.
And there have been lesser coaches get second tries.
I don't want a defensive head coach.
Well, here's the thing. If you get a defensive head coach, I think can finally get a guru. Give me a mastermind. Give me somebody.
Yeah, and then that guy will be gone in a year.
That's
how we do.
We have our next guest. We're going to bring in Aditi Kinkhabwala in 1 sec. Before that, I want to remind the good people from 3 to 4 o'clock today, the Barbershop back on the UCSS channel.
Barbershop is open.
Bush previewing the Browns 49ers. He's also giving away 5 Kool-Aid Mafia bandanas. G, is that what they fit?
Towels.
Flags, bandanas,
You wave 'em.
towels, whatever they are. It's his counterpart to the terrible towels in Cleveland.
Have you already ordered those?
Yes.
And you can get those by tuning into the Barbershop today at 3 o'clock on the UCSS
Do you have a
channel.
barbershop pole in your house where you do the show from?
Yeah.
Yes.
He does.
You do. Because I was going to say, if you don't, you need to get you.
I have a pole, a backdrop. I have
a barbershop pole.
Yeah.
You got to be
fitting.
careful when you say that.
Yeah.
And with that,
Pause.
let's bring in Aditi
Dang.
Kinkhabwala.
That might have been one of the biggest pauses since Aditi's fishing story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's funny.
That fishing story. Hey, that was Esquire tabloid material.
That was literally one of the best moments in the history of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
That it was.
It really was. It was one of the best moments in the show's history.
Aditi, dire times here in Cleveland right now. Let's pull it together, everybody.
No, you, can't just go right into, you can't go into no question.
We gotta get serious
See, and
here.
this is why, but Mikey, this is why I'm not a guest. I am a family member, right? He goes,
Yes,
now we're going
exactly
to
right.
family.
Part of the family.
That's
Aditi.
right. That's right. Let's get serious now, for crying out loud. You guys are always joking around. I like to be
All right.
serious, for crying out loud.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Here we go.
Professional, all of you.
Bull, ask a question.
There you go.
Everybody's panicking here.
I'm trying to keep a serious face. Sorry. All right, here we go. Try again.
I don't know that I can. I don't know. So, it's panic time, Aditi. We're starting PJ freaking Walker this week. He's not any good at football. What is happening?
Make us feel better.
Well, I think, look, you threw poor DTR out there with, an hour's notice? I mean, he didn't find out until 10:30 that he was actually starting. It wasn't a game plan tailored or suited to him in any way. He had no preparation. It went about as awfully as it could have. They believe in him. They have long-term plans for him. You think throwing him out against the 49ers defensive front is going to rebuild him or repair him or make him feel good about himself? So I think that you're stuck, which is why you have to go with PJ Walker. And
so why didn't they just use him last week, Aditi? Why not use PJ Walker last week? Or why not trade Josh? Why trade Josh Dobbs if this guy can't do anything this year?
Maybe the feeling was that he could do things this year if they had actually prepared him to do things, if they had come up with a plan for just him. But sudden, they're finding out on Sunday morning, whoops, nope, sorry, and there's not a backup plan, which, in some ways you could say, why was there no backup plan? Why was there no just in case, break glass in case of emergency? Why was there not something like that? I can't speak to that, right? I don't know, but it is very, very alarming to me that 3 weeks ago, I had a very long discussion with my game producer, when we had the Browns-Titans, and I said, don't be talking about Kevin Stefanski on the hot seat. This is finally the first year that Kevin Stefanski has a somewhat normal year, as opposed to year 1 was COVID, year 2 was the Odell Baker drama, year 3 was the Jacoby Deshaun thing. Finally, Kevin Stefanski gets a year, and oh my goodness, guys, everything's off the rails once again.
But he's partly to blame. Really?
You think Nick Chubb getting hurt and Deshaun Watson getting hurt?
Aditi, players get hurt. This is the NFL. You don't get a pass every time a good player gets hurt. I'm sorry. No,
but I think that your starting quarterback being adamant that he's going to play all week and perhaps not being completely honest about how much pain he was in or what the true nature of that injury was. I mean, you expect your players to tell you how they really feel.
But if he
and we've all been in locker rooms. Look, we've all been in locker rooms where players have not necessarily been truthful about how much pain they're in, whether they're concussed or not. How everybody they're gladiators. Everybody thinks they can play on a Sunday.
But Aditi,
but there is a fine line that you're walking there.
It's if DTR is not prepared to play, that's on Kevin Stefanski, not on Deshaun Watson. Whether he thinks he knows Deshaun Watson's got an injury, he knows there's a chance he's not going to be able to play. It's the coach's job to get him ready, and if he's not ready, you either blame him or the coach. I can't blame Watson for DTR not being ready.
That's not unfair. That's not unfair. So I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but I also am still sitting here and saying it's a bit early to hit panic, right? It's not like they're sitting here at 0-5. It's not like they have an offense that averages 1 touchdown a game. They're still playing lights out on defense. We've seen how defenses can carry teams. I mean, the fact that the Steelers are not sitting at 0-5 is simply because of TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. So why can't Myles Garrett and that defensive front help carry this team for a little while? Why can't this be a complete team for a little while until that offense gets back in gear? Or does what it needs to do.
I was sitting here and we were talking, and we've been kind of down the last couple of days, and then it just hit me like I don't really have any expectations for this game. The quarterback is going to be a new guy, a rookie, or a veteran who hasn't played well. But, I mean, is it crazy to think that, like, hey, you got a really good defense. Let's run the ball a little bit, see if we can keep it close in the muddy game, and see what happens. Is it crazy that the Browns could come in here and make a game out of this?
Why is it crazy? Why can't that be possible? We're talking about a defense that's supposed to be one of the best, most aggressive, most game-changing, most disruptive defenses in the National Football League. And I know that people in Cleveland hate hearing about Pittsburgh, but right now in Pittsburgh, I mean, there was a hockey game this week where the fans at the hockey game are calling for the offensive coordinator to be fired. The Steelers are adamant that they are a run-first team, and guess what? They don't have a single rushing touchdown. Guess what? They're 30th in the National Football League in total yards. They are averaging 1 touchdown a game. And yet, look at where they're sitting in the AFC North. And the reason that they are sitting there in the AFC North is because TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are carrying this team. And JJ Watt just went on Pat McAfee's show and even said that about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hey, if you don't have TJ and Alex, where are you? You're 0-5.
You're
so
right.
if a defense in Pittsburgh can carry an absolutely horrific Steelers offense, where even the Pittsburgh hockey fans are demanding that this offensive coordinator get fired, why can't Myles Garrett carry this team for a week? Why can't Myles Garrett go and make Brock Purdy's life so miserable? Why can't this secondary lock up those receivers and George Kittle? Why can't this defense carry the day?
But the Steelers...
Isn't that what football is supposed to be?
But the Steelers won those games against the Browns and Ravens, who have mediocre offenses right now, and the Niners are one of the best offenses in the game. That's a big difference.
I mean, that's a fair point too. But again, it's like set the standard.
Yeah, I agree.
Safe.
You're right.
I mean,
You're right.
If
they
we're
got to
gonna
play
sit
that
here
way.
and I'll tell you this. It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who is a coach of an NFC team this past week, and we were kind of he's a really big Mike Tomlin fan, and I'm very much Mike Tomlin's won 3 playoff games in 12 years. Like, how long do you, and it's sort of the same argument that we always have, does consistency matter, or does actually winning the big prize matter? And this coach was saying to me, I said to him, that the Steelers-Ravens game, there is no way that the Steelers should be feeling good coming out of that game.
No.
Sure, they got to win, but oh my goodness, it's because the Ravens handed them that game.
Handed it.
Very
Just like the Browns game.
Yeah.
with the Browns. Exactly what happened with the Browns. You can't sit here and feel like you're going in the bye as a Steelers fan or as a Steelers head coach and be like, oh yeah, we love where we are. But this coach was saying to me, the Steelers play team football. The Steelers play all 3 phases.
Complementary,
and so
too.
he was making the argument exactly that even though the offense isn't playing well, the Steelers got their special teams to block a punt, and the Steelers always get their defense, TJ Watt, to come up with a big play when you need a big play. And so while I'm sitting here and saying, I can't believe Mike Tomlin's head is in the sand that he's like okay with this offense. He's saying, hey, look, Mike Tomlin's getting everything that he possibly can out of the entire team. So if that's what the goal is, why can't we sit here and say that this Browns defense needs to play better than it's ever played?
Well,
it needs to play better.
Aditi, we lost Aditi somehow.
Aditi,
audio.
we see you. We can't hear you, Aditi.
We lost your audio.
She must not be able to hear us either. Aditi, for some reason, we lost your mic.
I'm going to text her. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, she makes a point.
Let me try to answer that.
Yeah.
When I think of the two defenses, it's clear in overall talent, the Browns have more. Here's the difference, and this is what I've always said about this defense. The defense of the Steelers makes splash plays in the most opportunistic moments of football games. Their combo of Highsmith and Watt, they beat Baltimore the exact same way they beat us. The only difference was Watt didn't take the one against Baltimore to the house.
Right.
So why not? Well, here's what's lacking from this defense, and I've said it all year. They don't force turnovers, and I need splash plays when the game is in the balance.
What she's saying is, and she's right, they're good enough that they should be doing those things.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But when she's saying, why can't the Browns do that? That is the question that we've been asking forever.
They should. They're going to need to do it. The Browns just can't play like in those first 3 games. They held teams to not a lot of yards. That's fine. They need to force turnovers and either score or set the offense up in the red zone, basically.
Right, because in 2 of those in their wins, they were blowouts.
The only
I haven't seen this defense make a splash play to win a game, yet I've seen the Steelers defense do it twice.
Right. They have to. The only way the Browns have a chance in this game is if the defense forces turnovers and allows P.J. Walker to either score from the 20-yard line, basically.
Right, yeah. Give them a short
That's
field.
their only. P.J. Walker's not driving the team down the field 80 yards.
He's not.
Here's why it's. See, Kevin Stefanski can show me something in this game because sometimes it's not about the plays that you call that are huge plays that are 40-yard bombs or whatever. It's just about the sequencing, and that's why I'm really. I really feel that they should be running the ball on inside zone plays because they can't get behind the sticks. When you have a quarter, if you want to upset teams,
don't get off schedule.
Off schedule, you're done.
Yeah.
First
not against a team like San Francisco,
and not with
then
P.J.
they pin
Walker.
their ears back, and here comes Bosa.
You're a third and long situation. You're dead.
You might as well punt.
Dead.
First and 20s. Of holdings,
yes.
or if you get it, like I thought, one of the biggest issues was there's been times where Jerome Ford will have a nice run. I thought he had a really nice run against the Baltimore Ravens to start the game off, and it's holding.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like
can't have that.
You can't, guys. You can't do it.
By the way,
in that instance, it's a 10-yard penalty. But really, it's a 35-yard penalty because it negates a 25-yard run and puts you back minus 10.
And it's just,
again, this is not earth-shattering or anything. I just thought I'd share it. Alex Van Pelt, the Browns offensive coordinator, speaking right now, said PJ looks good, throws it well. And then he was asked if he's sure who's playing quarterback Sunday. He said, quote, I don't think so. Doesn't know who's playing yet, which makes sense. Obviously, you're going to try to play Watson if he can play.
And look.
But you have to get this quarterback ready to go.
Do. But I'll tell you this much. Even if Deshaun Watson has already been ruled out, and I'm kind of thinking that internally they have done that. You can't tell anybody that.
No. What's the point?
Let San Francisco think they're preparing for 2 different quarterbacks. But the fact that, and we'll find out.
You just can't say you're expecting Watson to play if that's the case.
And that's the error that they made.
Yes.
Like, you can't err on that side.
Right.
You have to err on the side that Alex Van Pelt just erred on.
Let me ask you guys this question. Are you guys erring on the thought process that this is going to be a 1 or 2 more week thing, or this is a whole season?
I am beginning to think that this is a 6-week thing.
6 more weeks or just
from the beginning of the injury. And here's why. Well, I told you that I texted with the guy that did my surgery. We're talking about, he goes, again, he starts all of his conversations when I ask him questions about this. Jay, I don't know because I haven't seen, don't know the scans, don't know the situation. Here's what I know in general about that injury. It takes time to heal. You just read a super chat, Mike, from somebody in Florida that watches us whose wife is a doctor, and she said the same thing that my surgeon said.
75% after 6 weeks?
After 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
And it is a painful thing, guys. It is a painful injury. And I don't know that the Browns must not have known it was a bruise on his rotator cuff when they were telling, when
Barry.
Deshaun was telling everybody he's going to play Sunday, and Barry was telling people he's going to play in 2 weeks. And so I think now that they have a better understanding of what the injury is, if it really is a bruised rotator cuff, and they want to be very careful about this thing, I don't think it's a 1 week or a 2 week thing.
Yeah, who knows?
It could be a 4 to 6 week thing.
The report, Mary Kay was saying yesterday that now they're saying it's 2 to 6 weeks, like typically for this injury. But that's a big window. So
it is, but the key in that number is the 6 weeks.
Right, so it's possible. And more from Alex Van Pelt. He just said, quote, "You wouldn't put a running back out there if he couldn't run full speed," when asked about Watson.
Right, you would not. And you can't put a quarterback out there if he's not pain-free.
That says something.
And has the full arm.
That says something.
He also says
you can read between the lines sometimes and get your answer.
He also said that even if Watson doesn't practice all week, he still could play on Sunday. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's what he's saying.
Well, to that point, when I was saying where the Browns really screwed this up was the Sunday of the injury. You can put Deshaun Watson out there anytime, any point, with no practice. He's a veteran. He knows this offense. It's his.
That's right.
Where the Browns messed this whole thing up was not telling DTR on Sunday of the Titans game, when Deshaun clearly knew that this was something. You're just going to, here's how we're going to prepare for Baltimore. You're going to be the starter. Now, you may prepare all week, and we may prepare all week that you're the starter, but Sunday at noon, if Watson comes out and takes the shot and throws and is pain-free, he could become the starter at any point.
Well,
but let's prepare you, and you prepare you to be the guy.
Well, that should have been obvious. I'm hoping that happened. It seems like it didn't. I don't know. But if Stefanski had not said what he said on Monday, then there'd be none of this, like, why isn't Watson playing?
I agree with you.
We would just be like, well, he's hurt. He can't play.
I agree with you. And if they had come out from the beginning and said bruised rotator cuff, 2 to 6 weeks, now everybody knows what the playing field is.
Exactly. Another quote from Alex Van Pelt. Asked about Watson. He said, quote, "He's doing everything he can, but it's tough. He's a thrower and has a shoulder injury. We're going to have to wait till it gets healed up. From what I'm hearing, it's better every day."
He ain't even throwing there.
I doubt he's throwing.
Yeah,
because you're going to aggravate it. It's the rotator cuff. I mean, the actual throwing motion, that's the engine to the throwing motion. There's no way he could throw, and if it's still not healed, and this thing would be in the process of getting better every day.
I'm of the belief now that
don't re-aggravate it.
I'm of the belief now, as a coach, you almost have to actually start coaching as if this guy is not coming back. Because here's the thing, you can't do the week to week thing. That hope that you get, maybe I could take off a little bit, or maybe I don't have to play above my head because Deshaun's coming. No. Deshaun might not be coming back through the door, and we don't know it.
And I think what's troubling, too, is the organizational flip-flop on the most important position in the game. Just go back to 2020 and look at how this organization has pivoted at that position. And I'm not just talking about the Baker to Deshaun. I can understand why someone would want to make that move. But Josh Dobbs is your backup quarterback, and all of a sudden, DTR, a fifth-round draft pick rookie, looks good in preseason, and you just say, yeah, you know what, Dobbs, we don't need Dobbs as a backup. DTR is a backup.
And they said it, Jay, as if a fifth-round pick was some grand,
you're right,
like some big deal. It's a fifth-round pick.
And then, so they shifted from, no, it's not Dobbs, it's DTR, and then in 1 week they said, no, it's not DTR, it's PJ, who wasn't here a month ago.
By the way, Alex Van Pelt also said it'd be a huge loss if they don't have Batonio this weekend, which means they might not have Batonio.
They're probably
We're going to talk about that in overtime.
Didi?
Yeah.
We do have Aditi back. We have solved the technical issues on her.
Good.
But what's up, Aditi? We're glad to have you back. We apologize to everyone out there.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I guess, the
gremlins got your mic.
I don't even remember what we were in the middle of asking her now.
I had a question that I wanted to ask you. Well, actually, I wanted to answer one of your questions. I think your question was rhetorical when you said, why can't the Browns do that? And when we lost you, I answered that question to the panel, and now I'll answer it to you, and I'd love to get your response. The difference between the Steelers and the Browns defenses, I think the Browns, and I don't think there's much argument to this, have the better roster. I do. But what I haven't seen from this Browns defense is the ability to make the big play when the game hangs in the balance. I've seen that twice out of this Steelers defense, and oddly enough, it was the same combo. Highsmith gets free, strip sack. TJ picks it up against the Browns. He goes to the house. Against the Ravens, he ices the game. What this Browns defense is lacking are those flash, splash plays and turnovers. They don't create turnovers. And that would be my rhetorical answer, or my answer to what I think for you was a rhetorical question. What do you respond? How do you respond?
But again, I completely agree with you. And this is every single time we have this conversation about Myles Garrett versus TJ Watt. And we sit here and we talk about everything that Myles does and all the pressures and how he's built like a football god, all of that. But at the end of the day, TJ is the one that comes up with these big plays and big moments. These, as you said it, splash plays, game-changing, game-breaking plays. And you ultimately become a Defensive Player of the Year because you affect the game in a key moment like that. You know, and it's sort of like if an offense is terrible all game long, but manages one beautiful touchdown at the end of the game to win the game, that's what you walk away with. And so it's not necessarily about giving me 12 pressures in a game. It's giving me the pressure that changes the game. And so my point is that if we want to talk about Myles Garrett as one of the 3 best defensive players in the league, if we want to talk about this defense as one of the best defenses in the league, then the best defense in the league should be able to take on one of the best offenses in the league. Why do we just cede that? Why do we just say, oh, well, the San Francisco 49ers, though, have a great offense. The 49ers offense is much better than the Ravens offense or the Steelers offense, so whatever. So what? We're saying that the Browns defense is one of the best defenses. Right. And we're saying Myles Garrett is one of the best players. So go ahead, do it. Do it.
They should. You're right.
I agree.
Take it up another notch.
You know,
that's the only way to win.
And all these problems, Aditi, because you're right. Like at the end of the day, it's not doom and gloom. This team is 2-2. With a win over this team, suddenly everything is rainbows and sunshine. However, all of these warts that we've pointed out, and we haven't even discussed with you the communication issues that are clearly a problem with this team. General manager, coach, different messaging. Player, different messaging. Deshaun coming out after the Steelers game and flat saying the communication's not good. All of those issues, how do you make all those go away? You wave the magic wand of victory. And suddenly, poof, they're all gone.
Yeah.
So go win.
You know, one of my Ramon Foster, who I actually saw in Cleveland, he played for the Steelers for 11 years. His favorite line was, if you win, everybody eats. And it's that same idea. If you win, everybody gets enough food, everybody is happy, everything seems to look better. And it is. It's you get a win, and we don't talk about communication issues. You get a win, we don't talk about whether Myles Garrett is making enough splash plays or not. You get a win, you don't even talk about stats. You just talk about that W.
You're right.
And so that's what the issue is right here. It's getting a win. And quite frankly, you know, you're talking about the Ravens offense not being that great. We saw how the Ravens shot themselves in the foot against that's probably the worst cliche to use, but hurt themselves, gave away a game against the Steelers. Why against the Browns could that not happen? Why couldn't this Browns defense force that sort of confusion, that bad second half?
You're right.
Go ahead and lay that out there for the Browns.
Yeah. Start making big plays in big games and earning that reputation that the Steelers have deserved because they've earned it, and they keep restamping those genius and excellence credentials every time they do it again. Aditi, we got to go. It's coming up on 1 o'clock. We will see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Always great stuff. Thank you, Aditi.
By the way, you know how in week 1, famously, Jamar Chase talked trash and had it thrown back in his face by the Browns? Well, now the Seahawks are doing it to Jamar Chase. This might not be wise.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise that.
DK Metcalf just said, I don't know, it might have happened yesterday, I'm not sure, but sometime in the last 24 hours, DK Metcalf, the Seahawks wide receiver, said he expects Seahawks rookie cornerback Devin Witherspoon to, let me get the exact quote of what he said.
See, I hate this.
He said,
get the best.
I think Witherspoon will get the best of Jamar Chase.
And Witherspoon, by the way, is a phenomenal corner.
5th all-around pick.
But here's what I have to say about that. Don't write checks your teammates have to cash.
That's right.
Especially a rookie, and especially when he's going up against a widely regarded top 3 or top 5
especially
receiver
when
in the league.
they're coming off both Burrow and Chase's best game.
But these guys can't help themselves.
Just like I said, it was stupid when Chase did it. It's stupid for him to say this.
Dumb. What do you think
tripping.
Witherspoon thinks about that?
He's like, what are you doing to me?
It's one thing if you, as the defensive back, when you're going to be on the field manning up with him, it's one thing if you're dumb enough to say it.
Yeah.
One of your teammates that's not going to be on the field when Chase is should never put you in that position.
Chase reposted the tweet.
Oh, he heard it.
Yeah.
He heard it loud and clear. And what do you think he's going to say if they win after the game?
Oh, yeah, right.
Now it's going to make
to the
Witherspoon
victor go the
look bad.
spoils. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what the Browns got. Yeah.
All right, overtime is coming up. What are we talking about? The Bitonio injury?
We're going to talk about a Browns topic we're going to get in the show we didn't get to. So this is Browns never before seen content that members only are going to get.
Very good.
See you in a minute.
Yeah, see you there.